Hello, fans, and welcome to This Day in Baseball, where we're going to bring you a full radio broadcast of today's game. And before we do that, I just want to thank Classic Baseball Radio, and there's a link in the notes where you can check out their full channel. They have many great radio broadcasts. And while you're listening to today's game, if you want to check out much more about the game and the players, look on the links below, and you're going to see links to player pages, the date the game happened, the year it happened, and the play-by-play. Enjoy the game, and check out the links while you're watching the game, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that every time new content comes out, you're going to get that firsthand. And thank you again for checking out This Day in Baseball, and enjoy the game.
Cannon, hello again, everybody. Garrett's waiting, and here's the first pitch by Ernie McAnally. It is high and away for a ball. Wayne Garrett, the Mets third baseman, hitting .224. He has 6 home runs and 22 runs batted in. McAnally has won 5 games, and he's lost 3. Right-hander. Here's the pitch, and it breaks in there for a called strike. It's 1-1. McAnally is 26 years of age from Mount Pleasant, Texas. Last year he won 6 games, and he lost in 6 games, and he lost 15. Here's a fastball swung on and missed by Garrett. McAnally has a lifetime record against the Mets of no wins and 2 losses. Felix Millan has moved up on deck now. McAnally deals, and it's swung on, looped out into center field for a base hit. Hustling over his boots there, the center fielder cuts it off. Garrett takes the wide, turned it first and holds up. He has singled to center field. Felix Millan is the batter. He's hitting .280 with 1 homer and 13 runs batted in. Felix Millan. Ernie McAnally was acquired by the Montreal Expos in the expansion draft. He was drafted from the New York Mets organization. He was the Expos' 25th selection in the National League expansion draft that occurred in 1968. Here's a pitch low for a ball. 1-0. George Theodore is on deck now for the Mets. Mike Jorgensen at first, holds against the run of Garrett. Here's a pitch hit on the ground, and by Jorgensen down the line and right. Garrett's on his way to third. Ball is picked up by Ken Singleton in right. He rifles it across. No play on Garrett. He pulls up safely at third, and Millan is on. He punched that ball down the right field line. Singleton came over down the line to hustle it up, but had no play on Garrett. Jorgensen had been holding against the runner, but came off with the pitch, so that the ball was punched between him and the bag. Theodore is a right-hand batter playing left field tonight, hitting .259, 11 runs batted in. Ed Craneville is out of action with a pulled groin muscle. He says on Thursday night he'll give it a try to see if he can come back to the lineup. Craneville pulled the groin muscle in yesterday afternoon's game, running out a base hit that drove in a run. All right, Met runners lead at first and third. Theodore holds the bat high and has it cocked. McAnally steps off. Outfield defense straight away. Ron Fairley in left. Boots Day in center. Ken Singleton in right. Temperature is 80 degrees and the humidity is 85% right now. Here's a pitch low for a ball. Wind is from the southeast at 5 miles per hour. 1-0 to Theodore. Rusty Staub follows him in the order. 1-0 pitch, swung on, and I'd rather take it. He started swing, didn't pull the trigger, and it's low, 2-0. Harry Wendelstedt is the umpire behind the plate. Dave Davidson at first. Augie Donatelli, the crew chief, is at second, and Bob Engel is around at third. Met runners lead first and third. This is a 2-0 pitch. In there for a called strike. It's 2-1. Umpire Wendelstedt examines the ball, tosses it back out. Ernie McAnally has a lifetime record in the majors of 22 wins and 30 losses. Off the stretch, 2-1 pitch, and it's low. He's gone behind now, 3-1. 3-1 delivery. Off the outside corner. It's a base on balls, and the bases are loaded. They are loaded up for Rusty Staub as George Theodore goes down to first. Mcandrew up to second. Garrett holds at third. Nobody out. So quickly, the Mets have loaded up the bases. Off McAnally, who has an earned run average of 3.28. This is McAnally's 15th start. He has had 4 complete games this year. Walked 38 and struck out 40 so far. McAnally has. Pitch to Rusty Staub. Hit on the ground to second. Taken there by Hunt over to Foley for 1. To throw to first, a double play, and a run scores. No run batted in. The Mets are leading by a score of 1-0. Rusty Staub hit the ground ball to Ron Hunt at second. He fired over to Tim Foley for 1. Foley gunned it on to Jorgensen. The double play was completed. Meanwhile, Garrett crossed the plate with the first run of the night, and the Mets are out front 1-0. Felix Millan is at third. 2 men are out, and John Milner's up. He's hitting .229, 11 homers and 31 runs batted in. Pitch to the left-hand batter, and it's a fastball in there for a called strike. 0-1 to Milner. On the coaching line for the Mets, Eddie Yost is at third, and Roy McMillan is the coach at first. There's a pitch dealt low, so it goes to 1-1. Mike Jorgensen is playing first base. Ron Hunt is playing second. Tim Foley is at short, and Bob Bailey is around at third. There's a swing and a foul ball off and out of play. Just tipped by Ron Hodges there in the on-deck circle. Tagged it with his bat as it came by. 1-2 to Milner. It's a hazy and overcast evening here at Jarry Park. Swinging a foul ball off and out of play. There was a power failure in Montreal late in the afternoon, which left Jarry Park without power for a while. Power has been fully restored. It was an interesting ride that the New York Mets had to the ballpark at the height of the power failure because none of the traffic lights were working. I'm not sure the bus driver knew that, but it was interesting nonetheless. Here's a 1-2 pitch, high and tight for a ball, 2-2. When the lights came back on, the bus driver went on the theory that they all were stuck. Here's a 2-2 offering. Swung on it in the air to right field. Playable to Ken Singleton. He drifts up. Waits now and makes the catch. So the start is out. The Mets got a run. On 2 hits and a walk, no errors, and 1 left. And in the middle of the first inning, the score is the Mets 1 and the Expos coming to bat. Jim Mcandrew is on the mound for the Mets. He's 29 years of age, and this year Mcandrew has won 3 games, and he's lost 6. Last year, his season's record was 11 wins and 8 losses. Against the Expos last year, Mcandrew won 1, lost 1. Against them this year, he has won 1 and lost none, and his lifetime record against the Expos is 4 wins and 4 losses. The Mets and the Expos will play here again tomorrow night and again on Thursday night. The Mets will be at Shea Stadium in New York on Friday night against the Atlanta Braves. They'll be there again on Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon, and then Leo DeRocher brings his Houston Astros in on Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday afternoon. Ron Hunt leads it off now for the Mets. Ron Hunt is hitting .301. He has 13 runs batted in. Hunt is a right-hand batter. He's been hit by pitch balls 18 times this year. Mcandrew takes the sign from catcher Ron Hodges. Into the motion. Here's the pitch. Fastball in there for a called strike. Mike Jorgensen is on deck. The walking wounded of the New York Mets took batting practice late this afternoon. Cleon Jones, Bud Harrelson. Terry Grody is working out daily. Jerry May. Here's the pitch. Curveball. Hit on the ground to short. Teddy Martinez has it. Plays it over to Milner, and there's 1 away. Hunt has grounded out short to first. Mike Jorgensen is hitting .221. He has 5 home runs and 27 runs batted in.
Second, for first baseman number 16,
Mike Jorgensen. On the coaching lines for the Expos, Dave Bristol is at third base, and Larry Doby is on the lines at first. Here's a swing and a high pop into short left. Coming up is Theodore, and going out is Martinez. Martinez calls and makes the catch. Theodore had started to hunch those shoulders over and that low trajectory run to sneak up on it in the manner of Groucho Marx, but he laid off as Martinez went out to take the short pop. Two away, and Ron Fairley will be the batter. Fairley, who has been up among the top batters in the National League throughout most of the season, right now is batting .311. He has 8 homers and 19 runs batted in. The Mets are playing an infield of John Milner at first, Felix Millan at second, Teddy Martinez at short, and Wayne Garrett at third. George Theodore in left, Don Hahn in center, and Rusty Staub in right. Ron Hodges is the catcher. Swing and a base hit for Fairley into center field. On the first pitch by Mcandrew, Fairley lined it cleanly into center. It's returned by Hahn. The official score, by the way, has changed the decision made on a ball hit by Hahn yesterday. Bob Bailey was charged with an error on a ball hit by Hahn, in which he was safe at first, and the official score says now make that a base hit for Hahn, which gives him one more hit. Makes 23 points in his batting average. Ken Singleton is up now. Switch hitter batting left. Singleton is hitting .288. He has 10 homers and 44 runs batted in. Mcandrew's pitch is in there for a called strike. 0-1. The grandstand umpires do not agree with the call of Harry Wendelstedt. Boots Day is waiting on deck. This afternoon, the Phillies beat the Cubs by a score of 8-2. Jim Lonborg got the win. He's 7-6. No Pappas took the loss. He's 5-6. Here's a pitch inside and coming all the way back. The wild pitch goes to the screen and moves fairly to second base. The official scorer confirms wild pitch. Greg Luzinski had a homer today for the Phillies, his 11th of the year in the first with one on. Mike Schmidt hit his 9th in the second with nobody on. For the Cubs, Rick Mundy had 2 home runs, his 19th and 20th of the season, and all last year he had only 10. But the Phillies knocked off the division-leading Cubs 8-2. Tonight, the Pittsburgh Pirates are playing the St. Louis Cardinals, a doubleheader in St. Louis. The first game is midway of the 7th inning, and the Cardinals are leading the Pirates 3-0. Pitch to Singleton, swung on, hit in the air, down the left field line. Theodore facing over and back. He's there. Theodore makes the catch. He ran the great circle route and got there. So the side is retired. No runs are hit, no errors, and 1 left. At the end of an inning, the score is the Mets 1 and the Expos nothing. The New York Mets are coming up now in the top of the second inning, and it'll be Ron Hodges to lead it off. The Mets seem to have a golden opportunity in the top of the first to get safely off in this ballgame. They had the bases loaded, nobody out. We managed to get only 1 run. That now is the margin of their lead, 1-0. Ron Hodges is a left-hand batting catcher, hitting .278. He has 1 homer and 10 runs batted in. Right-hander Ernie McAnally is on the mound. And the pitch is in for a called strike. Don Hahn is on deck. Doc Ellis started that first game for the Pirates tonight. Pirates have won 5 in a row. Ramon Hernandez relieved in the 7th. Rick Wise is going for the Cardinals. Wise has won 9 and lost 4. Here's a pitch in for a strike. Houston Astros, who've lost 4 out of the last 5, are at Atlanta. Dave Roberts 7-5 against Carl Morton 6-6. Morton formerly with these Montreal Expos. The San Francisco Giants are at Cincinnati. Juan Marichal 6-5 against Jack Billingham, who's won 10 and lost 5 for Cincinnati. There's a fastball inside, 1-2. San Diego Padres are in Los Angeles against the Dodgers tonight. Dodgers are on top in the West. They've won 14 of their last 19 games. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Ron Hodges, swung on, fouled off, out of play. Count holds 1-2. The New York Yankees have now won 14 of their last 18, and they defeated the Boston Red Sox today 3-1. Sam McDowell 3-1 the winner. Sparky Lyle got the save, came on in the 7th. Marty Patton the loser 8-10. Ron Bloomberg hit his 5th home run, the first with 2 on. There's a foul ball off and out of play. The Detroit Tigers are playing Cleveland in the twilight start. Detroit's won 8 of 9. Cleveland's lost 6 in a row. In the middle of the 8th inning, it is Detroit 5 and Cleveland 4. The Perry brothers are opposing each other tonight. Jim Perry 8-7 against Gaylord Perry 8-10. Neither is in there at the moment. Pitch is high, all the way back. Ed Farmer relieved Jim Perry in the 6th, and Jerry Johnson relieved Gaylord Perry in the 7th. Norm Cash hit his 11th home in the 1st. Spikes hit his 15th in the 4th. Gamble hit his 12th in the 6th, and Cash hit another, his 12th in the 7th. Fastball swung on, popped up into left. Ron Fairley moves over crawling, and Fairley makes the catch. That'll bring up Don Hahn. Don Hahn, who is hitting .279 with 1 run batted in. Milwaukee Brewers and the Baltimore Orioles are playing a doubleheader at Baltimore. First game is at the end of 4 innings, and Milwaukee's leading 5-3. Skip Lockwood against Eddie Watts. Bobby Grich has hit 2 home runs, his 7th and his 8th. Hahn is a right-hand batter, formerly with the Montreal Expos. Here's a swing and a ground ball going up the middle, but Hunt gets over to cut it off, plays over to first in time. A high-hopping ground ball, and Ron Hunt simply moved over to make the play. 2 away, and Teddy Martinez will be the batter, hitting .226 with 10 runs batted in. The Chicago White Sox are at Texas against Whitey Herzog's Rangers. The first game is in the middle of the 4th. It's the White Sox 6, Texas nothing. Wilbur Wood, 14-11 against Pete Broberg. 4 and 6 relieved by Lloyd Allen in the 2nd inning. Minnesota Twins, who've won 5 in a row at Kansas City against the Royals. The pitch is in for a called strike to Martinez. Cal Angels are at Oakland against the A's in a latest start. Right here, the Mets are leading the Montreal Expos by a score of 1-0, and the Mets are batting in the top of the 2nd inning. Swinging a ground ball to second. Ron Hunt gets the big hop. He goes to first. The side is out in order. It is nothing across. In the middle of the 2nd, the score is the Mets 1, the Expos nothing. And now the Montreal Expos are coming up in the bottom of the 2nd inning, and it'll be Boots Day to lead it off. Boots Day, who won the game in the 10th inning yesterday with a pinch home run. His 4th home run of this season. He had none last year. Boots Day is hitting .291. He has 4 homers and 14 runs batted in. Boots Day is getting a hand. That's retroactive. Facing right-handed Jim Mcandrew. He hit the homer yesterday. Day did off Buzz Capra, who was working in relief. Mcandrew's pitch, and it's in there for a called strike. Boots Day said yesterday when he hit the home run that he just gave it his good single stroke, and that ball got up and he saw the wind give it a little lift, and the first thing he knew, it was over the right field fence. As a breaking pitch low and away, so it's 1-1. Tom Seaver goes for the Mets tomorrow night against Balaam Moore. 1-1 offering. Curveball hit in the air, foul on the left field line. It'll be a tough catch for anyone, and no one will get there. It barely hit foul, just barely. That was nonchalanted by everybody, including us. That ball went down the line, and it finally dropped. It was just barely foul, maybe an inch. And there is an opinion in the stands among some that maybe it was fair by an inch, because the umpire, Bob Engel, had nonchalanted it, had Theodore, as had Martinez. That ball was down the left field line. The wind is blowing in. Looking at the flags now, the wind is blowing across down there, steadily, across from foul territory towards center. And it simply held that ball up, and it was almost a fair ball. Oh, boy, it's 1-2. Now, pitch that's lined in the center field for a base hit for Boots Day. Don Hahn up at the ball, plays it back. Lead-off single for the Expos. And Bob Bailey will be coming up. He's hitting .286. He has 13 homers and 34 runs batted in. The Mets are leading 1-0. The Expos are batting in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Thursday night here at Jarry Park, John Matlack will pitch for the Mets. Either Bill Storman or Mike Torres will go for the Expos. Mcandrew checks. Pitch is in there for a called strike. Incidentally, the Mets, after the night game Thursday, will spend the night here in Montreal and come to New York on Friday morning. That is occasioned by the fact that the law is now being enforced, which prevents a plane from taking off after midnight from the Montreal Expos, the Montreal airport. Runner fakes the start, and the pitch is high, so it's 1-1. Boostay dug for a couple of steps and then held up. Bob Bailey looks down to sign man Dave Bristol at third. Get a sign now. The count is 1-1. Mcandrew has not struck out a batter. He has not walked one. Tim Foley is timing his swing in the on-deck circle. Throw to first is not in time. Ken Mcandrew off the stretch. The pitch is outside for a ball. It's 2-1. Bailey moves back into the batter's box. Milner is holding against the runner Boostay at first. 2-1 delivery. Runner going. Swinging a ground ball to short. Martinez has it. He'll have to go to first. He does in time. So by starting the runner, the Expos managed to move Boostay to second. Straight out of a forced play and a possible double play. Play went simply 6-3, and Foley's coming up with a tying run at second, one man out. The Mets leading 1-0. And Foley's hitting .257. He has one homer and 20 runs batted in. He has a 5-game hitting streak going.
Foley.
Mcandrew sets up. And the pitch is in for a call strike. We were talking to Foley before the ball game about the fact that he seemed to have settled down a little bit. And you don't hear nearly as much about Foley and his altercations with umpires and all sorts of people as you did last year. He says that he's matured a little, found out a little more about what life is like in the major league. Here's a pitch, swung on, and it's loose out into right center for a base hit. Rounding third and coming home is Day. He's in with a run. Rusty Southshore goes to second. Foley's on at first. Single to right center. Run batted in. The score is tied. 1-1. Speaking of Foley, he was in an altercation with an umpire earlier this year, and his case is still pending on an appeal before National League President Shub Feeney. There'll be a hearing later on about that. John Boncabella is coming up. He's hitting .243, one home run and 25 runs batted in. For Tim Foley, that was RBI number 21. Mcandrew sets now. Foley leads at first. Milner holds there. The pitch to Boccabella is inside high. It's 1-0. Pitcher Ernie McAnally is on deck. Again, Mcandrew set. Runner goes, swinging the ground ball is short. Knocked down by Martinez, who has no play. Foley is at second, and Boccabella's on at first. They were playing hit and run. Foley was off and winging on the pitch. It was a hard hit ground ball, and I'm sure that Martinez was trying to keep his eye on the ball and on the runner. And somewhere he lost track, simply knocked the ball down. It rolled a few feet behind him. When he retrieved, he had no play. And now, it is Ernie McAnally. It is an error charged against shortstop, Ted Martinez. McAnally is hitting .200. He's had 7 hits, 35 times at bat, right-hand batter, which means that he is not an automatic out by any manner of means. Ron Hunt's on deck. The Mets have to protect against the sacrifice possibility here. Runners at first and second. That's not a sure thing either. Mcandrew steps off. Sometimes by stepping off, you can get a batter to declare himself a little, but McAnally had that bat cocked all the way. At first, Milner's on the edge of the grass. Here's the pitch, swung on and missed. He took the full riffle. He was not bunting. Strike one is the count. Score is tied, 1-1. Ron Hunt moves out on deck. Mcandrew's pitch, low for a ball. It's 1-1 to McAnally. He looks down now to Dave Bristol to see if there's been any change in plans. Garrett is hanging around the cutout of the grass at third, ready to retreat to the bag to take a throw there for a possible fourth in case of the bunt. Milner's moved up even a little more now on the grass at first. It'll be a 1-1 delivery. Runners first and second. The pitch swung on and missed. And a little tight. He took the full cut. It's 1-2. Now Mcandrew sets up. A 1-2 delivery. Swung on and lined into left field for a base hit. Foley is around third. He's coming home. Theodore up with the ball. His throw comes into Garrett. And now there is no play on McAnally, who took a wide turn at first, but the first baseman had come across all the way to third to cover. 1 run in. And the Expos are leading by a score of 2-1. Here was a play with runners at first and second. It was lined into left. No chance to get Foley. He rounded third and came home. The throw from left fielder Theodore was taken by Garrett, the center of the diamond, and Garrett noticed that McAnally had taken a wide turn at first. And he started in that direction, but there was nobody covering first, so there was no chance to get McAnally. He simply retreated. Milner had come all the way across, actually passing Garrett, and was over to cover third at the time. So the Expos are leading 2-1. They have runners first and third. There's still only one man out, and Ron Hunt is coming up, and Ron Hodges has gone out to have a word with Jim Mcandrew. Felix Millan comes into the mound also to join the conference. Ron Hunt hitting an even 300 for the year. Looks down to sign man Dave Bristol at third. Expo runners take their lead at first and third. Mcandrew's pitch. In there for a called strike. Montreal batting in the bottom of the second inning. Ken Mcandrew sets up. Pitch is swung on it in the air to left, and Theodore's coming on, and he makes a dive and comes up with the ball. Tagged at third and coming home now is Bacabella. Bacabella tagged and came on, and here's a throw on and a field play at third. And safe, says the plate umpire. As Bob Engel, the umpire at third, defers to Harry Wendelstedt, the umpire at home, and Yogi Berra comes out to argue the call on the appeal. It's a sacrifice fly and a run batted in, and the Expos are leading by a score of 3-1 as Berra continues the argument at the plate. It was a diving catch by Theodore out in left. Goes as a sacrifice fly and a run batted in. As Bacabella tagged and moved down the line afterwards. Yogi Berra retreats to the dugout. Still at first base is Ernie McAnally. Mike Jorgensen is coming up with 2 men out. He's been up one time and he popped to short. Milner plays behind the runner at first now. Mcandrew off the stretch, and the pitch to Jorgensen. Swung on and popped up to the left side. Garrett has called at third. He's in foul territory, but chases back in fair territory and makes the catch. So the side is retired 3 runs. On 3 hits, there was an error on 1 left, and then the end of 2 innings of play, the score is the Expos 3 and the Mets 1. We're going to the 3rd inning now. The Expos are leading the Mets by a score of 3-1, and here for the play-by-play is Ralph Kiner.
Thank you very much, Lindsey Nelson, and hi, everyone. For the Mets, their leadoff batter will be the pitcher, Jim Mcandrew. Mets trailing by a score of 3-1. Expos 3 runs, 4 hits. The Mets 1 run and 2 hits. The Mets had the bases loaded in the 1st inning with no one out. They got a run when Rusty Staub hit into a double play. Did not score another. Expos got 3 runs in the 2nd on a base hit by Boucher to center field. Loop hit by Tim Foley to right field that put Boucher down into scoring position. An error by Ted Martinez that set it up for 2 more to score. Now Jim Mcandrew, a right-hand batter. Jim has been up 12 times. He's had 2 hits. The first pitch is called a ball. Ernie McAnally, 5-3, working for the Expos. Right-hander, throws a slider, curveball, and fastball. Lifetime record against the Mets, no wins, 2 losses. Next pitch, grounded weakly out toward shortstop. Fielded by Foley to throw to first in time for the out. That'll bring up Wayne Garrett. Wayne singled his first time up and has scored a run. Garrett batting .228. Expos knocked out of 4th place as Philadelphia Phillies beat the Cubs today. Phillies moving up in front of the Expos by 1 percentage point. Cubs are losing now 6.5 games up on the Cardinals, 7.5 up on Pittsburgh. 9 games ahead of the Phillies, and technically also 9 games ahead of the Expos. And the Cubs lead the Mets by 10.5 games. First pitch is called a ball. Now McAnally back. And the strike call. Fastball over the outside part of the plate, knee high, 1-1. Garrett, a left-hand batter, played straight away by the outfield. There's a fastball fouled off the 5th into the stands on the 3rd base side. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Garrett last night was 0 for 4, so he's had 1 hit and 5 times up in the series. Had 6 home runs, 22 runs batted in for the year. Now the 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed, and Garrett is struck out. The first strikeout for McAnally. 2 men away brings up Felix Meehan, who singled down the right field line in the 1st inning.
Now, where were you when the blackout came?
I was standing in the lobby of the hotel, Lindsey.
Well, that's as good a place as any. At least you weren't upstairs.
I wasn't upstairs, and I also had one other good thing going for me.
What was that?
I was billeted on the 4th floor, so under any circumstance it would not have been a long climb. Here's a pitch for a strike at the knees, slider over, strike 1. Usually when you have one of these blackouts like in Pittsburgh, I was on the 27th floor, I believe.
That's a good number. I was on the 21st.
There's a swing and a miss, and it's strike 2. And the big blackout in New York, I was in Fitzgeorge.
Oh, my, there's some people still there.
Talking to Monty Irvin. Here's a 2-strike pitch and a half check, and he did check, so it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
You mean when it started you were talking to Monty Irvin?
That's right. Meehan batting at .282. Now the 1-2 pitch. Meehan hits it out in the right center field. Coming over is Boucher. A long one for him, and he makes a dive, but cannot get to it. It goes up the alley, up against the fence. Meehan on his way to 3rd, and he should make it with no trouble at all. And he goes into 3rd standing up, and the Mets have Meehan at 3rd base with 2 men away. So Meehan, that is his 3rd 3-base hit of the year. 3-base hit brings up George Theodore. He walked his first time up. Theodore 0 for 2 last time, batting .250. Expos leading by a score of 3-1. Theodore with no home runs this year. He's driven in 11 runs. He has been up 105 times this year with 27 base hits. And McAnally's pitch. It is bunted out toward third, but bunted foul. So 1 strike count. Mets trailing by 2. Theodore trying to bunt his way on. Behind him is Rusty Staub. Bob Bailey, the third baseman for the Expos, not looking for that bunt, like many others in this ballpark. Bailey still deep at third. Now the 1 strike pitch to Theodore. He takes it low and outside. A slider. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Breeze blowing toward right field. Not much of it. Next delivery, and it's a fastball over the outside corner. A called strike. It's 1 and 2. Ernie McAnally, and the next delivery. It is hit down to the shortstop, Tim Foley, and he boots the ball, and the Mets get a run. Tim Foley making an error, and the Mets coming up with a run unearned, as Foley had a routine play to pick up Theodore at first base. That is the 77th error made by the Expos this year. And it's now the Expos 3 and the Mets 2, and it brings up Rusty Staub. For Tim Foley, that is his 15th error of the year. In contrast, Larry Boa has made 5 at shortstop for the Philadelphia Phillies. First pitch to Rusty Staub. He takes a fastball low. It's ball 1. Well, both shortstops in this game have made costly errors. No run batted in for Theodore as a result of the error. Staub hit into a double play his first time up. The next pitch is swung on and missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rusty hitting .279. He's had 6 home runs and 34 runs batted in. Last night, Rusty was 1 for 3 with a long single down the right field line for his base hit. Expos winning 2-1. The next pitch, it is outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Staub steps out of the batter's box, checks the bat, now gets back in. Rusty batting with 2 batting gloves. And McAnally's delivery. It's a slider up high. 3 balls, 1 strike. McAnally has lost his last 2 ball games. Has a record of 5-3 for the year. And the 3-1 pitch. It is hit in the air down the left field foul line. A long run for the left fielder, Fairley. And the ball is in foul territory, out of reach. Ball winding down in the bullpen area. Fairley coming from right center field just did not have enough time to get to it. That puts the count at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Earlier in the ball game, a foul ball was hit out down that same area, and George Theodore had a chance to catch it, but he never saw it. And fortunately for the Mets, at the time, at least, it was fouled by about a foot. Later on, the fellow who hit it, Boots Day, did single, and he did score. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The runner goes, and the pitch is hit hard down the right field line, but it's foul. So Theodore moving with the pitch back to first base. The count remains at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Rusty Staub has 22 doubles for the year. Depending on the fact that Jose Cardinal did not hit any doubles today in the loss to the Philadelphia Phillies, Rusty and Cardinal are tied for the National League lead in doubles. Theodore back to first base. He's not being held on by Mike Jorgensen. Jorgensen playing about 2 steps behind him for defensive room against the left-hand batter. Now he moves further back. The runner goes, and the pitch is lined to center, a base hit. Theodore will make third base with no trouble. The ball fielded by Boots Day on one hop in center field. The throw in keeps Staub at first base, and the Mets now have runners at first and third. The batter coming up is John Milner. Milner flied out to right field his first time up. Last night he was 1 for 4, so he's 1 for 5 in the series, and his average at .228. Milner leads the club in home runs with 11. He has 31 runs batted in. The Mets have the tying run at third. 2 men away as they bat in the top of the third. Milner left-hand batter, and here's the pitch. Breaking ball outside, a ball. On the message board, hello, New York, and Mets fans listening on WHN 1050 radio and the Mets Radio Network. A warm greeting to Mets broadcasters Lindsey Nelson, Bob Murphy, and Ralph Kiner. Now pitch it off to the left side into the stands out of play, and the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Here's the final score of the St. Louis Cardinals shut out Pittsburgh 4-0. The first game of their twilight doubleheader. Rick Wise, the winning pitcher, he's now 10-4. He pitched a 7-hit shutout. Doc Ellis, the loser, he's now 7-8, and no home runs. And there's the strike. They counted 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pittsburgh had won 5 straight, and with the Cardinals winning, they are now 6 games back of the Cubs. Pittsburgh dropping to 8 games back. Now pitch high, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Two and two. McAnally sets up, checks at first base, and the next delivery. It is a curveball too low for ball 3. So now full count to John Milner. Runner at first base, Rusty Staub, will be moving with the pitch. One thing about baseball, the Cardinals look like they might never win a ball game at the start of the year, and now they're in second place, 6 games behind the Cubs. Runner goes, and there's the pitch at the deep center field. Going back is Boots Day. Way back, way back, way back. He cannot get to it. It is a home run over the center field wall. And John Milner, with a tremendous home run, drives in 3. And the home run for Milner is 12th of the year. Milner now tied with Rusty Staub for the club lead in RBIs. And the Mets now lead by a score of 5-3. The center field fence here at Jarry Parc, at the deepest part, 420 feet away, and that ball over the center field fence for a tremendous home run by John Milner. Milner now in this road trip has had 3 home runs. And the Mets now leading 5-3, and the batter coming up is Ron Hodges, and time called as Cal McClish, the pitching coach of the Expos, goes out to the mound. All these runs are unearned as a result of the error by Tim Foley, the shortstop. Cal McClish out to talk with his pitcher, Ernie McAnally. And going out to the bullpen now, it appears that the Expos are going to have some action. Tom Walker is going out to the bullpen to throw some warm-up pitches. Walker, number 20, is the right-hand pitcher. And now action back, and the first pitch to Ron Hodges is outside and high, a fastball missing, ball 1. And McAnally's next delivery is swung on and missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. That is the second home run Milner has hit against Montreal. The next delivery is fouled into the stands, and the count at 1 ball and 2 strikes. On this road trip, Milner has hit home runs against Jack Aker, Ferguson Jenkins, and Ernie McAnally. Had one in the center field against the Cubs. Also a tremendous ball. Next pitch to Hodges, line to left field, a base hit by the shortstop, Tim Foley. So Hodges gets his first hit of the game and also the first of the series, and the Mets keep it going. The batter coming up is John Hahn. Hodges hitting .273 before the base hit. John Hahn coming up, also hitting at .273. Hahn grounded out to second base on 1 pitch his first time up. Mets leading by a score of 5-3. 4 runs into the inning as they came back from a 3-1 deficit. And a slider is over the outside corner, knee high. It's strike 1. And the next pitch is foul back into the stand. Strike 2 count. Mets now have 5 runs on 6 hits, and the Expos have 3 runs on 4. Next pitch is just outside, just off the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Don Hahn is the 7th man. Make it the 8th man to bat in this inning. The 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed, and Mcandrew has to do it by himself as he picks up his second strikeout to retire the side. In the inning, 4 runs all unearned on a total of 4 base hits, 1 error, and 1 man left. And the score at the end of 2.5 innings, the Mets 5, the Expos 3.
You're listening to Mets Baseball from WKAJ-FM, Saratoga Springs, New York.
We're going to the bottom half of the third. The Mets leading 5-3 as a result of 4 runs in the top of the third, 3 of them on John Milner's 3-run home run. And for the Expos, the leadoff batter will be Ron Fairley, who had a base hit his first time up.
Doubled in the last one.
Fairley, a left-hand batter, batting at .315 for the year. On the mound, Jim Mcandrew.
2 or 3.
Mcandrew with a record of 3 wins and 6 losses, one of the wins against the Expos. Then the right-hander's first pitch to Fairley is hit hard to second. Leon goes to one knee to field it on the second hop to throw to first base in time for the out. That'll bring up Ken Singleton. Ken flied out to left his first time up. Singleton batting .287 has 44 runs batted in with 10 home runs. He has a total of 72 base hits. Andrew working very slowly, looking in for the sign. Now goes into the windup and the pitch. Ken has to pull his feet away as he jumps over a ball right at him. Ball 1. Lifetime, Mcandrew has won 4 and lost 4 to the Expos. Lifetime against the league, he has won 36 and lost 47. Trying to break a 3-game losing streak here tonight. Next pitch is grounded out towards first base, fielded by Milner in foul territory. So the count evens out at 1 ball and 1 strike. Last year, Mcandrew won 11 and lost 8 for his finest year in the big leagues. Now Jim into the windup and the 1-1 pitch. Swung on and fouled back into the stand. 1-2. The end of 3, it's Atlanta 1, Houston nothing. Roberts pitching for Houston against former Expo Carl Morton. Houston, along with Atlanta, will be the Mets' foes in the next homestand starting on Friday night, July 6th. It'll be Atlanta for 3 with Hank Aaron, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday, and then Houston Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday afternoon. 1-2 pitch, swung on a miss. Mcandrew gets a strikeout. That is his first in the game. We pause for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
You're listening to WKAJ-FM, Saratoga Springs, New York, 102.3 on your FM dial.
Ralph Kiner along with Lindsey Nelson and Bob Murphy from Jarry Parc in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Mets leading 5-3 with 2 men out in third. Bruce Day, the batter for the Expos. Left-hand batter, and first pitch by Mcandrew swung on a miss, strike 1. Bruce Day hit a home run in the 10th inning to win the first game of this series, 2-1. That was his 4th home run of the year. Last year he did not hit a home run all year long. Batting at .298, he has a single in his 1 appearance against the Mets in this game. And the 4th ball breaks down too low. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. San Francisco at Cincinnati. The starting pitchers Juan Marichal against Jack Billingham, who also was a former Montreal pitcher. Next pitch is hit high in the air in foul territory on the third base side. Going back is Garrett. Coming over is Martinez. The ball drops between them. wind drifting the ball back. Garrett got over near the stands. A real long run for him. And then the wind drifting the ball back, and Garrett tried to backtrack out toward the foul line area, but could not get to it. Martinez pulled up. He had a much better shot at it, but he thought that Garrett might be able to make the play. So it drops in. No error scored in the play. And it counted 1 ball and 2 strikes. Wind blowing toward right field. The prevailing wind here at Jarry Park. It's a left-hand hitter's paradise. Every time those lights flicker, Lindsay, I think we're going to get it again. Next pitch is high, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
If we do, I want you to go home with us on the bus, Ralph. We had a delightful ride out.
I understand you had a fellow that said the first one there wins every time. No traffic lights because of the power failure, and the bus driver took full advantage of becoming the star of the day. There again, a foul ball hit straight back out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
It's all right as long as the lights flicker in this booth. When they start flickering up on those poles, we're in bad trouble.
Well, that hasn't happened to the Mets yet, but the way this year is going, who knows?
If it happens, it'll happen with the bases loaded and a high fly ball in the air.
If that ever happened, I don't want to be anywhere near Yogi. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Mets leading 5-3. Bottom of the third, 2 men away. And again the pitch. And it's hit hard to short. Martinez goes over, gets a good high hop as the ball comes up, throws the ball in the dirt, but it's dug out by Milner, and the side retires. So in the inning, a 1-2-3 inning for Jim Mcandrew, and the score at the end of 3, the Mets 5, the Montreal Expos 3. Again, warming up in the bullpen for the Montreal Expos, Tom Walker. And the Mets coming up as we move to the top of the 4th inning. The Mets leading by a score of 5-3.
Shortstop, Teddy Martinez.
Ted Martinez will be the batter here for the Mets as they bat in the 4th. He did not bat in the 3rd as the Mets sent 8 men to the plate. He takes the first pitch for a ball. Martinez grounded out in the 2nd inning. He's 1 for 4 in the series. Ted batting right-handed all the way now. The next pitch is hit out toward right field. Coming up is Ken Singleton. He has an easy play, gets under the ball and makes it 1 away. That brings up Jim Mcandrew, the pitcher.
Hello, sir. The pitcher, Jim Mcandrew.
Mcandrew grounded out to short the one time he has been up. He's been up 36 times with 7 base hits. Jim, a right-hand batter. Ernie McAnally, the pitcher, and he starts off and gets a strike over the outside corner. Mickey Scott is also throwing in the bullpen for Montreal. He's a left-hander. 1 strike pitch is rolling inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the 1-1 delivery taken low again. 2 balls, 1 strike. Mets leading 5-3. They have 5 runs on 6 hits. The big hit, a 3-run home run by John Milner over the 420 mark in center field. There's a ground ball hit right back to the mound, taken on 1 hop by McAnally and a throw to first base for the out. Got to bring up Wayne Garrett. Wayne is 1 for 2 with a single to center field.
Raise watching this, the third baseman, Wayne Jarry.
Garrett taking time to come up to the plate to allow Mcandrew to get back to the bench and get checked out. Garrett hitting .227. Now he comes up to the batter's box. Mets leading 5-3. And now the pitch. It is taken low, ball 1. Ernie McAnally was reached for 1 run in the first and 4 runs in the third, and all 4 runs in the third were unearned. Next pitch is called a strike. 1-1 the count. Garrett being played straight away by the Expos. The next delivery is fouled off into the stand. 1 ball, 2 strikes. McAnally has had 4 complete games this year with a record of 5-3. Also a very slow worker along with Jim Mcandrew. 1-2 pitch grounded towards second base. Ron Hunt fields it back in the outfield grass and quickly gets the throw off to first for the out that retires the side in order. And the score at the end of 3.5 innings, the Mets 5, the Montreal Expos 3. Mets leading as we go to the bottom of the 4th by a score of 5-3. Jim Mcandrew working for the Mets, and his first batter will be Bob Bailey, the third baseman. Bailey is 0 for 1. He grounded out to short on the hit and run play his first time up, moving the runner to second. And the first pitch is a fastball, a hard swing, and a foul straight back out of play, strike 1. Bailey batting .285. He has 13 home runs, 34 runs batted in. The club leader in home runs. Bailey originally signed for the highest bonus ever paid by the Pittsburgh Pirate organization out of Long Beach, California. Now Mcandrew with his next delivery, and the fastball's over the inside corner, strike 2. Mcandrew has been reached for 3 runs on 4 hits. All runs are earned. He has struck out 1 and walked none. 2 strike count to the right-hand batter. And now the pitch. Led up, grounded out to short. Martinez waits for it, comes up with the ball, throws the first base for the out. What away it brings up Tim Foley. Foley had a base hit in the right center, a broken bat base hit his first time up to drive in the first run for the Expos. Foley hitting .260 for the year. 1 home run, 21 runs batted in. Mets leading 5-3. Foley with his base hit extending his hitting streak to 6 consecutive games. He was 1 for 3 last night. He takes a strike. Now the 1 strike delivery. Half swing, and he went far enough at strike 2. Mickey Scott, a left-hander, still throwing in the bullpen for the Expos. Foley's the 7th batter in the batting order, so Gene Mock having his bullpen ready in case he would need to use a pinch hitter for the pitcher if he did get to the plate. 2-strike pitch, grounded foul. Down the third base side by Dave Bristol, the third base coach, and bouncing into the stands. 2-strike count. Larry Doby, the first base coach, started his career with the Cleveland Indians. And now the pitch. It is swung on and missed, a forkball, a ball foul tipped, actually held on to by Ron Hodges. So the forkball for the second strikeout.
The catcher, John Bacabella.
Brings up the catcher, John Bacabella. Bacabella was safe on an error his first time up. Bacabella batting .242. And the first pitch, a wild swing, and the pitch low and outside out of the strike zone, and strike 1. One strike count to the right-hand batter. Bacabella with 1 home run, 25 RBIs. There's a line shot to right off the fastball, a base hit. Fielded by Rusty Staub, and Bacabella holds at first base. The 5th base hit for the Expos, and it puts the tying run at the plate. And the batter coming up is Ernie McAnally. So in spite of the fact that Gene Mock has his pitching ready, he has decided that with 2 men away, he'll go with the pitcher. McAnally is a good hitting pitcher. He singled to left field his first time up to drive in a run. McAnally now with 8 base hits, batting at .222. And the pitch. Swing and a foul straight back out of play. One strike count. Mets leading 5-3. Hazy night here in Montreal. And a very, very warm evening, very humid. One strike delivery by Mcandrew. A swing and a miss, strike two. First baseman John Milner playing off the bag, about a step behind the runner, John Bacabella. Andrew, a long reading of the pitching signs, and now sets up. And the fork ball is swung on and grounded foul, so the count stays at strike two. Mets are playing Garrett at third, Martinez at shortstop, Meehan at second, and Milner at first. In the outfield they have Stork, Theodore in left field, Don Hahn in center, and Rusty Staub in right. Again, the two-strike pitch, and there's a hard ground ball out towards second, fielded by Meehan as he moves towards second base. He then tosses over to Martinez, covering at second for the force play that retires the side. No runs, one hit, no errors, and one man left in the score. At the end of four, the Mets 5, the Expos 3.
BC.
Through 4 innings of play here at Jarry Park in Montreal, it's the New York Mets 5 runs, 6 hits, 1 error, and the Expos 3 runs, 5 hits and 1 error. Felix Meehan leads it off now, facing right-hander Ernie McAnally. Meehan has singled and tripled and has scored 1 run here tonight. He's a right-hand batter. Meehan has a season's average right now of .285. Here's McAnally with the pitch. Overhand in there for a called strike. Theodore has moved out on deck. Again, the delivery. Swung on, one hop to short. Taken by Foley. Throw over to Jorgensen in time, and there's one away. Theodore up now. He has walked and was on an error. The error committed by Tim Foley. And the third inning, and it opened the floodgates. Would have been the third out, but following that, Rusty Staub single, and Milner hit a 3-run homer. Theodore's playing left field tonight, and he's batting number 3 in the Met batting order. There's a swing and a ground ball, a comebacker. Taken at the mound by McAnally over to Jorgensen. 2 away. Rusty Staub is hit into a double play and singled and later scored in this ballgame.
Rusty held it right, the right fielder, Rusty Staub.
Wind rippling out toward right field here tonight at Jarry Park. Inside for a ball. It's 1-0. This is the 5th year that the Montreal Expos have been in the National League. That pitch is in for a call strike, and it's the 12th year that the New York Mets have been in the National League. One pitch. Low for a ball, so it goes to 2-1. Bob Bailey at third, playing way wide of the bag. As the Expos set up playing Rusty Staub to pull, Ron Hunt has moved about 4 feet back on the outfield grass and is posted second base. Foley over near of the bag. There's a swing and a ground ball foul back of first. So it's 2-2 now to Rusty Staub. In center field, Boots Day has moved over toward right. Anytime that a ball is hit into the dugout like that, inevitably some ball player comes up waving the flag of surrender, the white flag. It gets a reaction from the crowd here in Montreal. 2-2 delivery. Swung on, hammered on the ground to third, and Bailey is right there. Takes the big hop, guns the ball, and just in time to get Rusty Straw. So the side is out, nothing across. And in the middle of the fifth inning, the score is the Mets 5 and the Expos 3. The Montreal Expos come up now in the bottom of the fifth inning, and it's top of the batting order. Ron Hunt up to lead it off. Ron Hunt has grounded out and had a sacrifice fly into right to drive in a run. He's hitting an even .300 for the year. He's had 80 base hits so far, and he has driven in 13. 13 runs, that is. Jim Mcandrew started. He's been in all the way for the Mets. Mcandrew started the night with a record of 3 wins and 6 losses. Hunt chokes way up on the bat. Mcandrew into the motion. Here is the pitch, and it is low for a ball. 1-0. Ron Hunt, who came to the major leagues with the New York Mets in 1963. The Mets purchased him. Actually, it was a conditional purchase from the Milwaukee Braves organization. The price was $40,000. 1-0 delivery, and it's in there for a called strike. Hunt quickly became the first big hero for the New York Mets, the favorite of the fans. And in 1964, when Shea Stadium was opened, Ron Hunt was voted the starting position at second base for the National League All-Stars. 1-1 pitch. Swung on it on the ground, and it's on by third baseman Garrett into left for a base hit. Picked up by Theodore and played back, and so Ron Hunt is led off with a single. Mike Jorgensen will be the batter. Jorgensen's been up twice. He popped up twice. Hitting .219 for the year.
Mike Jorgensen.
Milner at first for the Mets comes over to hold against the runner Ron Hunt. The Mets are leading by a score of 5-3. Mcandrew now off the stretch, checks the runner over his left shoulder. The pitch is swung on, hit on the ground, and Millon has it to the rim of the grass, placed to second for the fourth. They got the lead runner. Millon moved over into the hole swiftly to his glove side, was on the rim of the outfield grass, had the pivot and the peg back to Martinez to get the lead runner. So Hunt was erased on a play that goes 4-6, and Jorgensen becomes the runner at first. Ron Fairley's up. Fairley has had a base hit and grounded out so far. He grounded out second to first in the third inning. Fairley has a season's batting average of .314. Milner still holding against the runner, Jorgensen at first. Mcandrew deals a pitch, and it's outside for a ball. Ken Singleton is waiting on deck. Jorgensen has taken his lead. Mcandrew with a 1-0 pitch to Fairley. And it's in there for a call. I beg your pardon, it's low for a ball. Throw to first, not in time. It's 2-0. 2-0 is the count as Ron Hodges turns to say a word to umpire Harry Wendelstedt. Tomorrow night, Tom Seaver goes against Baylor Moore here in game number 3 of this series. Ron Hodges flashes the sign. Mcandrew wants him to start the series over again, and Ron Fairley backs out of the batter's box. A little general. Gene Mott pacing a little bit in the dugout of the Montreal Expos. Here's a throw to first. It's not in time. Jorgensen's back. Mcandrew sets up again. Here's the 2-0. And it's in there for a called strike. 2-1 now to Ron Fairley. Fairley looks down to Dave Bristol, the coach at third, to see if anything is on. Mcandrew stares in again, takes a sign, and Fairley, tired of waiting, backs out again. Fairley decides he'll walk around and kill a little time of his own, so he goes over toward the on-deck circle, gets a little lost, and tosses it back. Now Fairley moves into the batter's box. Two-one pitch, swung on and popped up to the right side in foul territory. Hodges looking for a play, but this one is on top of the dugout and out of play. Ron Hodges at the barrier there, but simply could not get to it. He's right in front of a pen that is provided for photographers at the end of the dugout, and the ball hit on top of the dugout. So the count is 2-2 to Ron Fairley. Bill Stoneman's getting in a little work down in the bullpen area. He's a possible starter on Thursday night. Mcandrew now with the pitch, missing outside. So the count is full at 3-2. One man out. Jorgensen's the runner at first, so he's looking across to pick up a sound to see whether or not he'll be moving on the pitch. Singleton's on deck. Jorgensen has taken his lead. He's running. Pitch is inside. It's a walk, so Jorgensen pulls up safely at second. Fairley goes to first, and with one man out, the tying runs are on base with Singleton coming to the plate. That is the first walk given up by Jim Mcandrew. Singleton has been up twice. He flied to left, and he struck out swinging. Switch hitter batting left. The Expos are batting here in the bottom of the fifth inning at Jarry Parc in Montreal. Montreal runners lead at first and second. Mcandrew sets. And here's the pitch. Swung on and ripped into center field for a base hit. Jorgensen's around third. He's coming home. Hahn up with the ball. Joe comes into second. Fairley standing at third. Holding at first is Singleton. Single to center, and the run batted in, and the score is Montreal 4 and the Mets 5. Runners first and third. Still only one man out. And Boots Day will be the batter. Now Tug McGraw starts to throw in the Met bullpen. Tug McGraw is up and throwing in the Met bullpen. Ron Hodges has gone out to the mound. Talked to Mcandrew and also to give McGraw a little more time. Ron Fairley is the runner at third. Jim Singleton is the runner at first. Boots Day is at the plate. It is the Mets 5 and the Expos 4. Boots Day, hitting .295 for the year, had the pinch home run to win the game in the 10th inning for the Expos yesterday afternoon. Martinez and Millan had double played up. That pitch is outside for a ball. 1-0 is the count to Boots Day at the plate, and he's followed by Bob Bailey. Mcandrew again sets up. Runners lead first and third. Pitch to Day. Missing low, and the count goes now to 2-0 to Boots Day. Garrett on the edge of the grass at third. Milner holding against the runner at first. High distance out to sign again to Mcandrew. 2-0 delivery. It is low, and now Mcandrew's gone behind 3-0 to boot stay with Bob Bailey on deck. Mcandrew is taking a moment before getting ready to work the 3-0 pitch. Boots Day is in there swinging the bat loosely as he waits. Fairley takes his lead at third. Ken Singleton takes his lead at first. 3-0 pitch. High and away, walked him, and the bases are loaded. Second walk issued by Mcandrew. And here comes pitching coach Rube Walker out of the Met dugout. Rube Walker's on his way out to the mound. Bob Bailey will be the next batter for the Montreal Expos. The Mets are leading 5-4, but with one man out, the Expos have loaded the bases here in the bottom of the fifth inning. Rube Walker has arrived at the mound, talking to Jim Mcandrew. Now Rube turns and jogs back to the Met dugout. Bob Bailey has run up twice and grounded out twice, short to first each time. Bailey is hitting .284 for the year. He has 13 homers and 34 runs batted in. Against the right-hand batter, the Mets have Milner even with the bag at first, playing wide of the bag. They drop Garrett back now, so that Garrett, Martinez, and Millan are at double play depth. The Mets would be hopeful getting Bob Bailey once again to hit that ball on the ground for a possible shot at an inning-ending double play. The Mets have a one-run lead. Now here's the pitch. Low, bounds a few feet away from Hodges, but up the third baseline, so there's no chance for any runner to advance. And the count is 1-0. Bob Bailey walks back over toward the on-deck circle. Tim Foley is there. It's a little pine tar. Now marches back up toward the plate. Here comes Yogi Berra. That'll be off Mcandrew. When Yogi Berra crosses the third baseline, Mcandrew is out of the game. Mcandrew pounds the ball into his glove out there on the mound in a show of temper. Now Yogi is stopped short. He was stopped short by Wendelstedt before he crosses the first baseline, so that he jogs back now to the dugout. Wendelstedt apparently stopped Yogi before he could cross the first baseline to tell him that when he crossed that first baseline, his pitcher was out of the game. So Yogi wisely jogged back to the dugout, and Mcandrew stays in. You see, Rube Walker had been out there earlier in this inning, and if two trips are made by manager or pitching coach, it's automatic expulsion for the pitcher. Wendelstedt stopped him before he got across the first baseline. Now here's the pitch. And it's in there for a called strike. It's 1-1. The bases are loaded. And there's one man out. When Jim Mcandrew saw the manager, Yogi Berra, start in the dugout, he pounded the ball into his glove, aware of what the implication was. He's working straight away now with a 1-1 pitch. That's low for a ball. Mcandrew goes behind 2-1. Ron Fairley is the runner at third. Ken Singleton is the runner at second. And Boots Day is the runner at first. Mcandrew takes the sign. Peers in now to look a little more closely. This will be a 2-1 pitch to Bob Bailey. And it misses. The count is 3-1. So Mcandrew is one pitch away from walking in the tying run. Tug McGraw is still throwing in the Met bullpen. Bailey, having walked a few feet away, comes right back into the batter's box. Mcandrew is aware that he must get this one over or the game is tied. Yet he doesn't want to make it too fat or it may be worse. It'll be a 3-1 delivery, and it's on the way. Swung on it on the ground to third. Jarry can't handle it. On third to left. Bailey scores. Singleton scores. Moving on to third is Bruce Day. Safe at second is Bailey, and the Expos are leading by a score of 6-5. Ball was hit directly at third baseman Wayne Garrett. It went right underneath his glove and on out into left. 2 runs scored. There are runners at second and third. And Tim Foley is coming up. It looked as though it were a double play ball when it left the bat directly at Garrett. Yogi Berra comes out now, and the sign goes to the bullpen. That is all for Mcandrew. An error is charged on the play. And now Gosker's coming out. Jim Gosker is leaving the Met dugout and is coming onto the field and heading out toward left. So Gosker will be in there in place of Theodore. Yogi is at the mound now talking to Wendolstead, and here comes Tug McGraw. And now the official score has posted hit on the last ball. And H was flashed up there on the scoreboard for base hit. The ball went squarely between the legs and underneath the glove of Wayne Garrett at third. So we'll check a little further on that as McGraw comes in right here to check out scores of other games. It's Bob Murphy.
All right, Lindsay, in a day game at Wrigley Field, Jim Lonborg went the distance. Philadelphia beat Chicago 8-2. Luzinski and Smith homered for the Phillies. Mundy hit 2 for Chicago. He now has 20. A doubleheader tonight at the St. Louis. Rick Wise shut out Pittsburgh. The Cardinals winning 4-0 in the first game. Doc Ellis, the loser. Give the nightcap Steve Glass against Rich Folker. Atlanta won, Houston nothing after 5 innings in Atlanta. Dave Roberts pitching against Carl Morton. At Cincinnati, Juan Marichal comes out of the bullpen to start for San Francisco. Jack Bellingham will pitch for Cincinnati. And later tonight, San Diego at Dodger Stadium playing Los Angeles. At Yankee Stadium this afternoon, Sam McDowell and Sparky Lyle combined to pitch a 3-hitter. Ron Bloomberg hit a 3-run homer in the first inning, and the Yankees beat Boston 3-1. In a twilight game at Cleveland, the Tigers rallied, getting 3 of the 7th inning. Detroit beating Cleveland 5-4. Ed Farmer, the winner in relief of Jim Perry. Gaylord Perry, the loser. Norm Cash hit 2 home runs. Charlie Spikes hit a 3-run homer, his 15th for Cleveland, and Oscar Gamble hit his 12th. Milwaukee 7, Baltimore 3, last of the 8th inning in the first game of a doubleheader at Baltimore. The Chicago White Sox leading Texas 10-1 at the end of 7. Wilbur Wood trying to snap a 7-game losing streak. Kansas City 3, Minnesota 1 at the end of 2.5. Fly 11 and Mark Littell are the pitchers. We return to the action now, and here's Lindsey Nelson.
All right, Bob, Tim Foley's up, and he's being intentionally walked with first base open and 1 man out. The official score scored double and 2 runs batted in on the ball that went between the legs of Wayne Garrett at third and looked to be a sure double play ball. So the official score says double and 2 runs batted in. The Expos are leading 6-5. Foley is throwing an intentional pass here from Tug McGraw, which will reload the bases with still only 1 man out. And the Expos batting in the bottom of the 5th. Mcandrew worked 4 1/3. Gave up 6 runs on 8 hits, struck out 2, walked 2, responsible for 2 of the runners on base now as Foley goes to first. John Bacabella is coming up now. Bacabella was on an error and had a base hit so far. Runners lead at first, second, and third. Tug McGraw into the motion, and here's the pitch. It's high for a ball. The Expos 6, the Mets 5. 1-0 pitch. Inside low. McGraw goes behind 2-0. Boy, Tug McGraw, his 30th appearance of the year. He has a record of no wins and 3 losses last time out. At Chicago, he worked 2/3 of an inning, gave up one run and 1 hit, and a 6-5 loss. Swing at a high pop to left field. Gosker now comes up to make the catch. Day tags and comes down the line. Here's Gosker third to the plate, and he is out at the plate. Comes in standing up. Does Boots Day, and Ron Hodges puts a tag on him, so it is a double play. As Boccavella fired to left, and then the play went 7-2 on Boots Day to retire the side. As the Expos scored 3 runs on 3 hits, there were no errors and 2 left. The end of 5 innings, there's 1 error. I beg your pardon, no errors. The score at the end of 5 is Montreal 6 and the Mets 5. Through 5 innings now, it is the Montreal Expos 6 runs, 8 hits, and 1 error. The New York Mets 5 runs, 6 hits, and 1 error. The Mets will send John Milner up. Milner had a long 3-run homer over the center field wall in the 3rd inning. He is 1 for 2 tonight. Overall, John Milner has had 12 home runs. He is hitting .232.
John Milner.
Ernie McAnally started, has been in all the way for the Montreal Expos. Milner is a left-hand batter, and here is a pitch that is breaking in there for a called strike. Bob Bailey is on the grass at third. This pitch misses low and away, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 delivery. And it's low for a ball. It's 2-1. Ron Hodges is on deck. And the 2-1. In there for a strike, and it is 2-2 now to John Milner. Milner back in. McAnally has struck out 2 and walked 1 tonight. Swinging a foul ball. The count holds at 2-2 to Milner. Tom Walker is in the bullpen throwing again now for the Montreal Expos. Tom Walker. And now Milner is hit by the pitch ball. Turned and hit on the back as he turned away from the plate. And Milner is holding the bat in his hand as he starts on down and finally tosses it over and goes to first base. So, a base runner. The tying run is on at first. Nobody out, and Ron Hodges will be the batter. Hodges is 1 for 2 tonight. Had a single last time up. That pitch is low for a ball. Hodges is followed by Don Hahn in the mid batting order. There's a check swing, ground ball to third, taken there by Bailey. He gets it over to Hunt. They get the lead runner. There is no relay. Milner is forced 5-4. Bailey to Hunt. Hodges becomes the runner at first. Hahn is grounded out and struck out so far. Right-hand batter.
The rookie got this off. The center fielder, John Hahn.
Now the pitch, and it's low for a ball. It's 1-0. Again, Ernie McAnally off the stretch with the pitch swung on, hit on the ground, foul up the third baseline. Falls off toward the dugout of the Expos, located along the third baseline here in Montreal. Here's the 1-1. Low for a ball. It's 2-1. The Mets are batting in the top of the sixth inning, and the Expos are leading by a score of 6-5. 2-1 pitch. Swung on, hammered on the ground, foul back of third, gloved by Bob Bailey. And the count's even now at 2-2. Martinez has moved up on the on-deck circle. McAnally's pitch is low to Hahn. 3-2, one man out. Hodges the runner at first. He looks across to Eddie Yost to see if he'll be moving on the pitch. Hodges is running, swing and a miss, throw to second. Hunt takes it, and Hodges is out. Augie Donatelli delaying a little bit before making the out sign. It's a strikeout double play. With the out on the runner going 2-4. Third strikeout for McAnally, so the Mets go out. Nobody left. Middle of the sixth, the score is the Expos 6 and the Mets 5. Oh, on the bottom of the sixth inning. Pitcher Ernie McAnally is scheduled to lead it off for the Montreal Expos. Tomorrow night, Tom Seaver goes for the New York Mets. He's won 9 and lost 4. And Bela Moore will be the pitcher for the Montreal Expos. He has won 4 and lost 9. Then on Thursday night, John Matlack is the Mets pitcher. He's 5 and 10. And either Bill Stoneman or Mike Torres will be the pitcher for the Montreal Expos. Hal Breeden is going to bat for McAnally. Mike Marshall is throwing now in the bullpen. It's Mike Marshall throwing in the bullpen. McAnally is out of the ball game, and Hal Breeden bats for him. He's hitting .287, 5 homers and 15 runs batted in. Breeden is a right-hand batter. McGraw's pitch is in for a called strike. Ken McGraw goes into the motion. Here's the pitch to Breeden. Low for a ball. Pitch is swung on and hammered on the ground, foul between Dave Bristol and the bag at third. On down into the bullpen of the Montreal Expos. Now again the pitch, and it is high for a ball. 2-2. McGraw's 2-2 offering. Breaking pitch that sails high, and it goes full now at 3-2. Ron Hunt is on deck. Payoff pitch. Fouled it back and out of play. So the count holds full at 3-2 to Hal Breeden. Larry Doby's on the coaching line at first. He was ejected from the ballgame in Pittsburgh by umpire Augie Donatelli on Sunday, and Larry received word today that he had been fined $25. Here's a pitch. Swung on and missed. So it's a strikeout from McGraw, and Ron Hunt's coming up. He's 1 for 2 and a sacrifice fly.
1.
Ron Hunt's hitting .302 for the season. Mcandrew worked 4 1/3, gave up 6 runs on 8 hits, struck out 2, walked 2. There's a swing and a high foul ball out of play. Hits in the lower field boxes. Down back of third. A little dangerous to say that anything's out of play that goes down there tonight because the wind's been blowing across, and we've had a couple of cases of balls down that line that were deceptive. Strike 1 count to Hunt. The Expos lead 6-5. Pitch is swung on, looped out into left center field. It's going to be in for a base hit. Picked up by Don Hahn, played back, and Hunt takes a wide turn and holds at his second base hit of the night. Mike Jorgensen now will be the batter. Jorgensen has gone 0 for 3 tonight. He scored 1 run. He hit into a force play, became a base runner, and later scored in the 5th. Jorgensen for the year is hitting .217 right now. McGraw delivers, and it's low for a ball. 1 man out. Hunt the runner at first base. McGraw's pitch swung on and foul back out of play. It's 1-1. Paid attendance here tonight at Jarry Park for this, the second game of a 4-game series, is 12,279. 12,279 paid, which runs the total paid attendance for the season for the Expos to 471,463. 1-1 pitch now to Mike Jorgensen. Hunt at first, and the pitch, fastball inside. It's 2-1. Ron Fairley waits on deck for Montreal. Mike Marshall has finished warming up and is coming back into the dugout area. Presumably, he'll go out and pitch the next inning for the Expos with Ernie McAnally, the pitcher of record, on the long side of a 6-5 count. Here's a pitch to Jorgensen, and it's in there for a called strike. It's 2-2. We'll be on the air tomorrow night with radio and television coverage at 8 p.m. New York time. McGraw wants Ron Hodges to start the signs over again. He hasn't. 2-2 delivery. Swung on it in the air, foul down the left field line. Going again, out of play. That count continues at 2-2. Now, umpire Harry Wendelstedt wants to look at the ball. Tossed in by McGraw, and another is put in play. The Expos have had 9 hits. The Mets have had 6. Runners going, swinging a foul ball. On the 2-2 pitch, they had Hunt moving. But Jorgensen fouled it right down into the dirt. There's 1 man out. Hunt slowly going back to first. And McGraw is off the rubber, waiting. Runner holds this time. The pitch is low. The count is 3-2. Throw to first, not in time. Hodge is rifling the ball down to John Milner, but Hunt got back. Now the count is full at 3-2. You'd figure that if you'd run on 2-2, you'd run on 3-2 with one man out. Hunt strolls off the bag. McGraw sets. Hunt's holding. The pitch is low. It's a walk. So now Hunt moves to second, and Jorgensen goes to first with a base on ball. That will bring up Ron Fairley with runners at first and second. Fairley's 1 for 2 in a walk tonight, hitting .314 for the season. Fairley swings the bat as he waits. Tug McGraw with the pitch, and it's low for a ball. Ken Singleton is next in the batting order for the Montreal Expos. When the Phillies defeated the Chicago Cubs this afternoon, the Montreal Expos were dropped 1 percentage point below the Phils. Montreal starting the night 2 games ahead of the New York Mets. That pitch is inside for a ball. 2-0 is the count now to Ron Fairley. Ron Hunt is the runner at second, and Mike Jorgensen is the runner at first. Here's the 2-0. Fastball in for a called strike. It's 2-1 now to Fairley. Fairley first joined up with the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1958. That was their first year in Los Angeles. He came off the campus of the University of Southern California to sign a Dodger contract. Two-one pitch. In there for a call, strike 2. It's 2-2. Fairley had been an outstanding player for the University of Southern Cal Trojans, and the Dodgers brought him out into the Coliseum where they were playing their home games. And as a left-hand batter, he popped about a half a dozen over the short screen in left at the Coliseum, and they signed him their contract. Now he backs out. Moves back in now. Fairley was signed for a bonus of $60,000. Breaks low, and the count runs full now at 3-2. So the Expos are leading by a run, 6-5. They're batting in the bottom of the 6th inning. They have Ron Hunt at second and Mike Jorgensen at first. There's one man out, and the count is 3-2 to Fairley at the plate. Jorgensen's on deck. Jan tries to tighten up the runner at second. McGraw sets now. Gives me Jan time to get back. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Low. Walked him, and the bases are loaded. We pause for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
You're listening to WKAJ-FM, Saratoga Springs, New York, 102.3 on your FM dial.
With Bob Murphy and Ralph Gander at Jarry Parc in Montreal, and Ken Singleton is going to be coming up here now for Montreal. As a switch hitter, he is turned around to bat right against McGraw. Ron Hodges has gone out to the mound, and Harry Parker comes running out of the dugout to start warming up for the Mets. Harry Parker, a right-hander, will warm up. Duffy Dyer is warming him up down in the bullpen. Singleton, hitting cleanup, has slid to left, struck out, and drawn a walk. I beg your pardon, he had a base hit. So he's 1 for 3. He's hitting .289 for the year. Bases are loaded with one man out. McGraw's pitch, and it's in there for a called strike. Boots Day is next in the batting order. McGraw is working straight away to Ken Singleton. Time call now by Bob Engel. The umpire has steered Ron Hunt over having a word with Engel. Ron Hunt is the base runner, and he's having a word with the umpire, Engel. Asking a question of Engel. Comes back over, tagged on the corner of the bag. Down the line. Now the pitch. Swung on and popped up foul, back at first, but drifting toward the stands, and it's out of play. 2 strikes to count to Kenny Singleton. The Chicago White Sox have defeated the Texas Rangers by a final score of 15-1. Wilbur Wood got his 15th win. Wood is 15-11. Pete Broberg took the loss. He is 4-7. Right here, the Expos are leading the Mets 6-5. They have the bases loaded. 1 man out on a 2-strike count to Singleton at the plate. Singleton calls time and backs out. Now here's the pitch. Right in there for a call strike 3. Caught him looking at a breaking pitch. McGraw. Not just a strikeout. His second. 2 away, and Boots Day is the batter. 1 for 2 and a walk. And now he's going to be called back, and Ron Woods is going to bat for him. This is strictly a righty-lefty switch. A righty-lefty switch. Ron Woods is batting.
Ron Woods.
Presumption is that Ron Woods will stay in the ballgame in center field. He's being alternated there with Boots Day these days. Woods is hitting .242, 2 homers, 15 runs batted in. Here's McGraw's pitch, and it's high and away for a ball. Base is still loaded and 2 men out now. Harry Parker continues to throw in the Met bullpen. McGraw delivers, and it's high. He goes behind Ron Woods, 2-0. Bob Bailey is on deck. Runners lead at first, second, and third. The 2-0 delivery. Low. McGraw has gone behind 3-0 to Ron Woods. So he is a pitch away from walking in a run. Takes the sign. 3-0 delivery. Right in there for a call strike. It's 3-1. Woods, of course, was taking all the way. Ron Hunt bluffed the start, just trying to disrupt McGraw's delivery. 3-1 is the count. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. So it's out full at 3-2, and with the bases loaded, 3 runners will be away and moving on the pitch. Two men out, count of 3-2, bases loaded, Montreal leading 6-5. There go the runners. Here's the pitch. Swung on and foul back. They'll have to set it up and do it all over again. Ron Hunt, the runner at third, of course, coming wide way over into the grass. Coming down about halfway. That's about as far as you want to come. Jorgensen, of course, moving was on around third, and barely the runner at first was well around second. Count continues, 3-2. Again, the runners go. The payoff pitch. Walk game outside. Woods gets a run batted in. Hunt crosses the plate. And the Expos are leading by a score of 7-5, and the bases still are loaded. Bob Bailey called over for a word from manager Gene Mock. Mock wanted to say a word to Bailey before he came up. Bailey was credited with a double in the fifth inning. When the official scorer called it a double and 2 runs batted in on a ball hit between the legs of Wayne Garrett at third. Montreal 7, the Mets 5. Swinging a drive, deep to left. If it stays fair, it's way back there. It is gone for a grand slam home run for Bob Bailey. Bob Bailey's 14th home run of this year. It is Montreal 11 and the Mets 5. With a grand slam home run into the bleachers in left, down by the 340 sign in the left field corner. Accounting for 4 more runs, the bases were loaded. It is Montreal 11, the Mets 5. Tim Foley is at the plate. McGraw's pitch, slam between Garrett and the bag, down the line and left. Could be extra bases for Foley. Round the bag at first, on his way to second. Gosker hustles the ball up and standing at second with a double. Tim Foley. John Bacabella will be the batter. He'll be the 9th man to bat here in the bottom of the 6th inning for the Montreal Expos. They have 11 runs, 11 hits. The Mets have 5 runs, 6 hits. Bacabella, 1 for 3 here tonight. Tug McGraw's pitch swung on and hit deep to left. It's way back there, going. Gosker's at the wall, leaps up, and it's gone for a home run for Bacabella. A 2-run homer into the bleachers in left. And the score is Montreal 13 and the Mets 5. Here comes manager Yogi Berra toward the mound where Tug McGraw is waiting. Yogi Berra has arrived at the mound. McGraw has his arms folded there. McGraw having given up a grand slam to Bob Bailey. A double to Tim Foley, and then a 2-run homer to Bacabella as the last 3 batters faced him here. And the Montreal Expos lead the Mets by a score of 13-5. Harry Parker now gets the sign. Parker will be coming in to make his 13th appearance. He has won 5 games and lost 2 at Chicago in a starting role. He lasted only 2/3 of an inning before giving up 3 runs on 2 hits. So Harry Park is coming in to relieve Tug McGraw, who was bombed in relief here tonight at Montreal. To check us out on scores of other games, here is Bob Murphy.
At Wrigley Field this afternoon, Jim Lonborg, who's been pitching good ball of late for Philadelphia, went all the way as the Phillies beat the Cubs 8-2. Greg Luzinski and Mike Schmidt hit Philadelphia home runs. Rick Mundy homered twice for Chicago. He now has 20 for the year, more than he has ever hit in any one season before. A doubleheader tonight at St. Louis. Rick Wise shutting out the Pirates with 7 base hits in the first game. The Cardinals winning 4-0. Doc Ellis the loser. In the nightcap, St. Louis ahead 1-0 after 2.5. Steve Blass pitching against Rich Folkers. At Atlanta, the Braves lead Houston 1-0 after 5.5. Dave Roberts and Carl Morton are the pitchers. Giants are at Cincinnati. Juan Marichal against Jack Bellingham. San Diego at L.A. later tonight. At Yankee Stadium this afternoon, Ron Blomberg hit a 3-run homer in the first inning of the game. Then Sam McDowell and Sparky Lyle combined to make that one swing of the bat stand up. The Yankees defeated Boston 3-1. McDowell 3-1. Patton the loser now 8-10. Detroit got 3 in the 7th inning to beat Cleveland 5-4, a twilight game at Cleveland. Ed Farmer was the winner in relief of Jim Perry, Gaylord Perry the loser. Norm Cash homered twice for Detroit. Charlie Spikes and Oscar Gamble for Cleveland. Milwaukee 7, Baltimore 3. They're in the 8th inning. Chicago beat Texas 15-1 in the first game of a doubleheader. Kansas City 4, Minnesota 3 at the end of 4. Okay, Lindsay.
Al Breeden is coming up for his second time in the inning. He batted for McAnally to open up and struck out, and he's up for his second time. Harry Parker's first pitch swung on and missed. It's strike one. The Grand Slam home run by Bob Bailey was the 4th in his career, his 2nd since he's been with the Expos, and both of those have come against the New York Mets. First one came a couple of years ago on Queen's Day here in Montreal. Swinging a ground ball to second. Millan has it. He goes to first, and the side is out. As Breeden made 2 of the outs, 7 runs on 4 hits, no errors, and none left. And at the end of 6 innings, the score is Montreal 13 and the Mets 5.
Ted Martinez will be up against Mike Marshall. 13-5, Montreal. They scored 10 of the 13 runs in the last 2 innings. 6 runs charged to Jim Mcandrew, 7 young runs to Tug McGraw. It's just hard to figure out what has happened to Tug, but he simply cannot find the right track again. He'll just have to work his way out of it somehow. Other relief pitchers have gone through it. Ted Martinez up against Mike Marshall. And the pitch is over, strike 1. Marshall is also a screwball pitcher. He got off to a slow start this year, but suddenly put himself into that right groove, and he has been sensational ever since. The stocky right-hander's pitch, a ground ball, hit slowly to deep shortstop. Foley's long throw is high over the head of Jorgensen and into the dugout. And Martinez will go on to second base. That will be scored an infield hit. And an error is charged on the throw, enabling Martinez to go to second.
From that fielder, Jim Gosker.
Jim Gosker, to replace Theodore in left field, batting for the first time. 13-5, Montreal far in front. Marshall's pitch on the way. Breaking ball out of the strike zone, 1 ball and no strikes. Mike Marshall has been in 39 ball games, won 7 and lost 5. Last year, he won 14 and he saved 18. A converted shortstop who has become an outstanding relief pitcher. The 1-0 delivery. Inside and low, ball 2 to Jim Gosker, 2-0. Gosker hitting at .242, 10 runs batted in. All of his outings, this has to be the roughest for Tug McGraw. He has just lost his confidence right now. 2 balls and no strikes. Now the pitch on the way. And a fastball in for a strike. It's 2-1. Now Mike Marshall up in pitching position. Delivers to Gosker, and the pitch is low. Ball 3, 3-1. Twice in this ball game, the Mets were ahead. They led in the first inning, fell behind 3-1, scored 4 runs, and led 5-3. Then Montreal got 3 to go ahead 6-5, and then 7 runs in the last inning to make it 13-5. Pat Jarvis loosening up at the Montreal bullpen. Now that he has such a big lead, manager Gene Mock may not want Mike Marshall to pitch the remainder of the ballgame. And the pitch on the way, bounced foul, no play. That hit the leg of Jim Gosker, and the count is 3-2. As we mentioned, Marshall did not get off well this year. He was struggling when the season started. But he suddenly found his control, and with it came his confidence. And once again, he has been pitching outstanding baseball. Now Marshall checks the runner at second. Outside and high on a breaking ball. Ball 4. Gosker draws the walk. And the Mets have runners on first and second. Nobody out. The late figures on Mike Marshall. In his last 22 appearances, and this goes back to May the 20th, his earned run average has been 0.9, less than 1 ERA. Less than 1 run per 9 innings, I should say. When he went into his hot streak, his ERA was 5.58. He has dropped it now down into 3. The wind has really freshened up. Pitch taken on the inside corner by Wayne Garrett. Strike 1 call. Phil Hennigan is working in the bullpen. The pitcher, Harry Parker, is batting third in the order. Wayne Garrett, 1 for 3, a single in the first inning. Off the outside corner, 1 ball and 1 strike. First 5 games on this road trip decided by the margin of 1 run. Things getting out of hand here tonight. One ball, 1 strike to Wayne Garrett. The pitch by Marshall. Fastball on the outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Wilbur Wood of the White Sox snapped his long losing streak tonight. Early in the year, very early in the year, as a matter of fact, his record was 13-3. At that time, they were projecting figures and saying that he might win over 40 ball games. Then came a dry spell. He broke a 7-game losing streak tonight. He had lost 7 in a row and 8 of 9. Now he's 15-11. One ball, 2 strikes on Garrett. Left-hand hitter waiting. Foul ball behind third, back up into the crowd. Paid crowd tonight of over 12,000. Tomorrow night it's Tom Seaver against Baylor Moore. Seaver started 1 game on this road trip. That was at Wrigley Field. He pitched very well, but did not figure in the decision. That was the game on Friday. The Mets were ahead 3-2, 2 outs, nobody on in the 9th. And Gene Heiser hit a home run to tie the game, and the Cubs won it in the 10th inning off Buzz Capra. Inside and low, 2 balls and 2 strikes to Wayne Garrett. I believe the Mets have been victimized 4 times this year by a grand slam home run. Second time this year, Tug has been jolted by a grand slam. He was also jolted by Lee May of Houston. The 2-2 pitch. And a ground ball through the pitcher's legs. It hits the second base bag, ricochets into the outfield. Around third, coming home, is Ted Martinez. And going to third base, Jim Gosker. Single for Wayne Garrett and a run batted in. The ball hit the second base. Beg your pardon. The second base bag had ricocheted into the outfield. So a run-scoring hit for Wayne Garrett, and it's 13-6. Runners at first and third, nobody out. Felix Millan, the batter. And the pitch on the way. Over for a strike call. Kenny Boswell has come out on deck. He will bat for Harry Parker. We were wrong in our figures. Artie Friedman says it was not the 4th time, but the 6th time this year. The Mets have been victimized by a grand slam home run. And the pitch. And a looping foul out of play down the right field line. Mike Schmidt has hit 2 grand slams against the Met pitching staff. Lee May hit 1. Dave Johnson of Atlanta. Willie Crawford of the Dodgers. And now, tonight, Bob Bailey. 6 grand slam home runs in a half a season. Mike Marshall's 2-strike delivery. It's foul, going out of play, back up into the crowd. Jim Gosker on third, Wayne Garrett on first. Nobody out. A run is scored. It's 13-6 Montreal. Now the stocky right-hander kicks the leg, delivers a line shot going into left field. A base hit for Felix Millan. Gosker will score. Garrett stopping at second. 13-7 Montreal. Still nobody out. Run batted in for Felix Millan. Now Kenny Boswell will hit for Harry Parker. For Millan is 14th, the run batted in. Ken Boswell, who has just rejoined the ball club, he had the sad task of flying to Dallas to attend the funeral of his father-in-law. So Harry Parker, who faced one hitter and retired him, is out of the game. Phil Hennigan will be pitching in the last of the 7th. Boswell has 2 pinch home runs to his credit this year. He has a breeze working for him as he steps in. It's blowing to right field. Breaking ball, strike 1 call. In relief, Marshall has given up 3 hits and a walk. He has faced only 4 men. They have Tom Walker up at the Montreal bullpen again. He was up earlier. Off the outside corner, 1 ball, 1 strike. Now Marshall getting his sign from Bacabella. They play Boswell as a pull hitter. And he pops the ball up outside third, a foul ball. Bailey has room midway between the line and the dugout. He puts it away. Rusty stop, 1 for 3.
The right fielder, Rusty Staub.
One man away. Rusty stepping in against Mike Marshall. Marshall is a right-hand reliever who throws a lot of screwballs that break away from the right-hand hitter. Pickoff play, throw to second, not in time. Marshall with a fast move to second base, trying to catch Wayne Garrett. St. Louis got 5 in the 3rd inning. The Cardinals lead Pittsburgh 6-1 after 3.5, and Steve Blass has been knocked out. Blass, like Tug McGraw, who was so superb last year, having an awful lot of trouble this year. Now the pitch. And Rusty takes a breaking ball on the inside corner, strike 1. John Milner waiting on deck. Marshall works effectively against the left-hand hitters with his screwball. Garrett leading from his second, Millan from first. Fastball high outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Two runs have scored in the 7th inning. Mets still have a long way to come back in this particular ballgame. They are 6 behind. The pitch to Stabb, a ground ball whacked on the right side. Hunt grabs the hop. He throws to second in time to get a force play on Felix Millan.
The debut for first baseman, John Milner.
Runners on first and third, 2 men away. Now Milner comes up. Milner hit one over the 420-foot mark in straightaway center field with 2 men on back in the 3rd inning. For the Hammer, it was his 12th home run of the year. It pulled him even with Rusty Staub for the club lead and runs batted in. Mike Marshall, runners at first and third, 2 down. Delivers to Milner. Breaking ball, call, strike 1. It'll be Phil Hennigan pitching for New York in the last half of the 7th. Seen Mark moving to a left-hander, Joe Gilbert, in his bullpen now. And the pitch on the way. Inside and low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Miller was hit by a pitch ball his last time up. John has 1 for 2, a 3-run homer. He could hit one right here. He could cut the deficit to 3. Now the pitch on the way. Fastball on the outside corner, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mike Marshall mixing up his pitches. Now the 1-2 delivery. Inside and low, it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Probably the biggest single problem the Mets have had this year has been the bullpen. The injuries have hurt. But with all the injuries, had the bullpen going well, the team would still be doing pretty well. The 2-2 pitch. Screwball missing, 3-2. Mike Marshall working in back of Ernie Mcandrew. We're in the top of the 7th inning. It is 13-7 Montreal. New York with runners at the corners, 2 down. Staub, the runner on first, will be going with a count 3-2 on John Milner. 3-2 delivery. Strike 3 call. Screwball in a good spot. Milner did not like the call by Harry Wendelstedt. For New York, in the 7th, they scored 2 runs on 3 hits. 1 error. 2 men left on. At the end of 6.5 innings, Montreal 13, New York 7.
WKAJ-FM 102.3 on your FM dial, serving you from Saratoga Springs, New York.
He will be pitching to the top of the Montreal batting order. Ron Hunt, Mike Jorgensen, and Ron Fairley. Montreal 13 runs, 12 hits, 2 errors. New York 7 runs, 9 hits, and 1 error. Bob Bailey, a grand slam. John Bacabella, a 2-run homer, all coming off Tug McGraw. For New York, a 3-run homer by John Milner. We've had a strong wind blowing to right field. We haven't had a home run hit to right field. Both Montreal home runs were hit to left. Milner hit his to straightaway center field. Fastball by Hennigan, strike one call. Phil Hennigan relieved twice in the 4-game series at Wrigley Field. And the pitch on the way. Off the outside corner. He last worked at relief. The second game of the Sunday doubleheader. The game the Cubs rallied to win on a 3-run homer in the last of the ninth by Randy Hundley. Now Hennigan delivers 1-1. Tries his curve, and it's high. 2 balls and a strike. Ron Hunt 2 for 3. An RBI on a sacrifice fly. Just 2-1 pitch. High, ball 3. Hennigan dropping behind, 3-1. Neither McGraw nor Hennigan has won a ball game coming out of the bullpen this year. 3-1 pitch. Down the middle, a strike, 3-2. Bill Hennigan pitching with a count of 3-2 on Ron Hunt, who chokes up on the handle of the bat and whacks the ball foul back up on the screen. Ron having one of his better years, hitting over 300, batting at .304. Ron now an 11-year veteran. Joe Gilbert continues to work in the Montreal bullpen. Pitching 3-2. Outside, ball 4. Hennigan walks Ron Hunt. Harry Parker faced only one batter. That was Hal Breeden. He retired him. Time taken by Ron Hodges. He wants to talk with Phil Hennigan. Hennigan from the stretch. And he fires inside and low. Ball 1. A throw to first, not in time. Mcandrew walked 2, McGraw walked 4. Hennigan now has walked 1, a total of 7 walks. And a ground ball hit toward the hole. Beyond to his left, can't get the play. He bobbles the ball and then kicks it. And there are runners at first and second. That might be scored as an infield hit. Meehan was chasing the ball way over in the hole. I'm not sure whether or not he could have thrown out a speedy man, Mike Jorgensen. It will be scored a base hit. That has to be scored a base hit. After the ball hit earlier right through the legs of Wayne Garrett by Bailey, that was scored a double. Now runners on first and second, nobody out. Ron Fairley is the batter. Fairley 1 for 2 and 2 walks. He has scored twice. Ron among the top 10 in batting in the National League, hitting at .314. Curveball, strike called at the knees. Now the pitch by Phil Hennigan. Fastball fired over the inside corner, a strike. Well, after a very long delay, they are getting the game underway at Cincinnati between the Giants and the Reds. It'll be Juan Marichal and Jack Billingham. They have been waiting over 2.5 hours for the rain to stop. So they're going to get it in, or at least they're going to try and get it in. They're going to start the ball game at Cincinnati. And the pitch is low. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ron Fairley. They have the AstroTurf at Cincinnati. And they have their Zamboni, $25,000 vehicle that comes out like a big vacuum, sucks the water up off the turf. The 1-2 pitch, a swing and a miss, or possibly foul tip. Just foul tip it to stay alive at the count 1-2. Reds have started playing good ball just recently. Parc Anderson feels that after they beat the Dodgers 3 out of 4, they're on their way again. Runners at first and second, nobody out. The pitch to Ron Fairley. High, outside, 2-2. Montreal led tonight by Bob Bailey, the veteran third baseman. The double and home run, he has 6 runs batted in. The 2-2 pitch. Outside, ball 3. Hennigan has had to fight his control all summer long. It just has not been good. Full count, 3-2. We'll watch the runners. They're going. The pitch fouled out of play behind third. Ron Hunt on second and Mike Jorgensen on first, and both were running. Mets do not have a pitcher considered a relief pitcher to win a ball game so far this year coming in out of that bullpen. Harry Parker won a game in relief early in the year against the Giants, but he's primarily a starter. And a ground ball under the glove of Milner going into right field. Hunt around third is coming in with a 14th Montreal run. 14-7 Montreal. Hard grounder with the runners going. Milner got a glove on it, slowed it up, but couldn't come up with it. It rolled into right field. That's a base hit for Fairley.
The right fielder gets 6 hits.
Nobody out. Runners at first and third. Run batted in for Ron Fairley. Eight different Montreal players have an RBI here tonight. Expos now leading 14-7. Ken Singleton has 1 for 4 and a run batted in. Kenny, the club leader in RBIs, has 45. Nobody out. The pitch by Hennigan. Curve in the dirt. 1 ball and no strike. George Stone was the winning pitcher, actually in relief, a 19-inning game in L.A., but here again he is considered a starting pitcher. Fastball outside. But neither McGraw nor Hennigan nor Capra, none of that trio, all relief pitchers, have been able to win. Ray Sadecki has not won. The 2-0 pitch, ball 3. Hennigan quickly behind Singleton, 3-0. If he walks Singleton and he's 1 pitch away, he'll have the bases loaded and Ron Woods coming to bat. Tom Seaver will have a big job on his hands tomorrow night to try and put things back together. To pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly deep to left center field. Way back. There it goes, a home run. (17-7). Ken Singleton, his 11th home run of the year. He now has 48 runs batted in. It was a 3-0 fastball. Gene Mock gave him the green light. He hit it high and far to left center field and into the pavilion. Number 11 for Ken Singleton. Montreal's third home run of the game. The Expos are leading by 10 runs, 17-7. So Hennigan has faced 4 men. They all 4 have scored. Now Ron Woods, the batter, and it's high, ball 1. A Montreal explosion. And they lead 17-7. And the pitch on the way. And a fly ball hit in the air to short center. Don Hahn racing in. Out goes beyond. Felix makes the catch. 1 man away. So in this game, Montreal, a grand slam home run, a 3-run homer, and a 2-run homer. That's 9 of the 17 runs. Bob Bailey is the batter. Bailey getting a standing ovation. And the pitch by Hennigan. On the outside corner, strike 1 call. High fly hit deep to left field, way back. It may go, and it is gone. A home run for Bailey. Bailey getting another standing ovation. Montreal 18, New York 7. Bailey's second home run. This is now for veteran Bob Bailey, a 7 RBI game. Bailey has a double and 2 home runs, 7 runs batted in. And Tim Foley is brushed away from the plate. 1 ball and no strikes. Foley 2 for 3, a single and a double. He drove in the very first Montreal run tonight. 17 have scored since then. And again, he hits the dirt getting out of the way. But Foley was bailing out before that pitch ever got close to the plate. The 2-0 delivery. Line drive, base hit to left center field. Moving over for the ball is Don Hahn. He'll play it back in. And they are really wrapping Phil Hennigan. They murdered McGraw, and now they're murdering Hennigan. Montreal with 18 runs in this game. Well, that is the most runs Montreal has ever scored in a ballgame since the Expos came to the National League. The 7 RBIs by Bob Bailey ties an individual Montreal club record. John Bateman once had 7 RBIs in one game. Now Buzz Capra is going down to the bullpen to start warming up. Hennigan has faced 7 men, retired only 1. He has given up 3 singles and 2 home runs as well as a walk. So it's 18-7. Bacabella is up. He homered his last time at bat. Ground ball right through the middle for a base hit. Foley goes to second. He'll stop there. Montreal with 6 hits off Phil Hennigan here in the 7th inning. They had 7 runs on 4 hits in the last inning off Tug McGraw. They have 5 runs on 6 hits off Phil Hennigan. The Expos have scored 18 runs, all but 3 in the last 3 innings. Now Mike Marshall, the pitcher, is up. Montreal now with 18 hits. That's the club record. Fastball, strike call. Carl Morton, a former member of the Expo pitching staff, pitched a 10-hit shutout today. In the dirt, blocked by Ron Hodges, 1-1. Atlanta beat Houston 1-0. Morton scattered 10 hits for the shutout. Dave Roberts the loser. Carl Morton is now 7-6 on the year. Morton has been the Braves' top pitcher this year. The 1-1 pitch. And a strike on the outside corner, 1-2. Mike Marshall is the 9th man up in the inning. He started out in pro baseball as a shortstop. Was an infielder 4 years before he became a pitcher. The 1-2 pitch. And a foul coming back, no play. He has a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from Michigan State and is a candidate for a doctorate. His favorite hobby when he's not getting out National League hitters is to play chess. The 1-2 pitch. And it's over, strike 3 call. 2 men away. Ron Hunt batting for the second time in the inning.
That's the Ron Hunt. 8 for Ron Hunt. Looking at those flags. Number 5.
Oh, it's going to be Clyde Mayshore batting for Ron Hunt. Gene Mock here is simply giving Hunt the rest of the night off. So the hitter is Clyde Mayshore, right-handed batting outfielder. And the pitch on the way. Breaking ball, strike 1. Clyde Mayshore is the pinch hitter. And Hennigan missing low and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hunt was the first batter up here in the 7th, and he walked. Jorgensen reached on a base hit. Fairley singled to right, driving a run in. Singleton on 3-0 hit a 3-run homer. High and away. Ron Woods was retired, but Bob Bailey, after receiving a standing ovation, hit a home run, and then received another standing ovation. Bailey has a double, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. Next pitch. And a curve that is over. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Montreal, 18 runs, 18 base hits. New York, 7 runs on 9 hits. Imagine scoring 7 runs and not even being in the ballgame. And the pitch on the way is swung on and missed, and the side is finally retired. 10 men came to bat. 5 runs, 6 hits, no errors. Two men left on. At the end of 7, Montreal 18, New York 7. In the 8th inning, 2 changes defensively for Montreal. Pepe Frias now playing second base. Clyde Mayshore stays in the game. He'll play left. So Ron Hunt and Ron Fairley have retired for the evening. Bobby Bonds once again has led off a ball game with a home run. He has led off at Cincinnati by hitting his 23rd home run. Ground ball hit by Ron Hodges. Pepe Frias has it and throws to Jorgie, 1 down. Bobby Bonds has hit 23 home runs. 9 of the 23 came leading off in a ball game. It is a major league record. And Bobby Bonds, batting leadoff, has now tied Willie Stargell for the major league lead in home runs. He may set a record for runs scored before this year's over. And the pitch on the way, taken by Don Hahn. Ball 2, it's 2-0. Mike Marshall pitching in relief. And the score, 18-7. This has to be one of the darkest nights in Mets baseball history. Under the knees, 3-0. The bullpen, which has been ineffective throughout the year, tonight just completely collapsed. The 2 men, the The Mets rely on McGraw and Hennigan, both just getting clobbered. And it's low, ball 4. Don Hahn draws a walk. That's the second walk by Mike Marshall. And you can bet he's not trying to walk anybody with an 11-run lead. Ted Martinez, 1 for 3 and a run scored. He got on with a base hit his last time up. And a breaking ball by Marshall calls strike 1 to Ted Martinez. Bobby Bonds tied for the home run lead in the majors, pressing for the RBI lead, leading the league in runs scored by a whale of a margin, and doing all of this while batting leadoff. Ground ball hits the third. Bailey throws to Pepe Frias, and on to Jorgensen, a double play. 5-4-3 to retire the side. Montreal's second double play of the night. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left. At the end of 7 1/2 innings, it's Montreal 18 and the New York Mets 7. Line shot hit by Mike Jorgensen into right field, a base hit going all the way back to the fence. Jorgie is on his way to second as Staub throws the ball in. We pause for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network. Bob Murphy with Lindsey Nelson and Ralph Kiner. We're in the last of the 8th inning. Pepe Frias batting for the first time, hits the first pitch, a ground ball to second. Leon throws him out. 1 away. Moving over to third, Mike Jorgensen. Ken Singleton, 2 for 5, including a 3-run homer his last time up. Kenny Singleton, the way he's going, might very well drive in 100 runs this year. He has 48 RBIs in half of the season. And the pitch by Hennigan, foul straight back. Singleton had a 1-base hit to drive a run in the 5th inning. Then came the 3-run homer to the opposite field in the 7th. And the pitch by Phil Hennigan. It is low. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Expos have hit 4 home runs. And a curve inside and low. 2 balls, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ron Wood's the on-deck batter, and then Bob Bailey. Bailey already has 7 RBIs in this ballgame. Runner on third, the infield back. And now Ken Singleton asks for time and steps out. In 1967, on June 11th, the Chicago Cubs beat the New York Mets 18-10. That, until tonight, was the most runs an opponent ever scored on the New York Mets. Now a breaking ball out of the strike zone, 2-2. Phil Hennigan asking the plate umpire, Harry Wendelstedt, to confirm the count. It is 2 balls and 2 strikes. If Singleton brings home Mike Jorgensen, it will be a new record as far as the Mets are concerned. And a ground ball hit right up the middle, a base hit. George is in to score the 19th Montreal run. So Montreal has the distinction of here tonight having scored more runs against the New York Mets than any team has ever scored in the 12-year history of the Mets. That's Ken Singleton's 5th RBI of the game. He now has 49. So Bailey has 7 RBIs and Singleton has 5. They've combined to drive in 12 of the 19 runs. Ron Woods will be coming up right now. Catcher Hodges out on the mound talking with Hennigan. Phil Hennigan has given up 6 runs, 8 base hits in 1 1/3 innings. (19-7). The score here at Jarry Park. We're in the last of the 8th inning. The batter is Ron Woods. He has reached on a walk and popped to second. And it's off the outside corner. 1 ball and no strikes. And a foul ball coming back up toward the press box and out of play. And the pitch on the way. Hennigan missing low outside. It's 2-1. Montreal, 19 runs on 20 base hits. New York, 7 runs on 9 hits. Right-hand batter Ron Woods waiting. Bounces one slowly to shortstop. Martinez with it to Millan for 1 and on to first, not in time. And Bob Bailey will get another standing ovation. Well, they're standing and cheering for Bob Bailey. He doubled 2 runs in, and actually on that double, there's a ground ball that went right through the legs of Wayne Garrett. It certainly should have been scored an error. Ian McDonald, the official scorer, said he felt like the ball was hit too hard for Garrett to make a play on. Low outside, ball 1. Bailey hit a grand slam off Doug McGraw in the 6th inning. The 6th grand slam off Met pitching this year. He repeated with a home run in the 7th inning. Bailey 3 for 5, 7 RBIs. A swing and a miss, 1 ball, 1 strike. Bailey really has brought his figures up here tonight. He is the club leader in home runs with 15, and he now has 41 runs batted in. The 1-1 pitch and a base hit to center field for Bob Bailey. The 21st Montreal hit. Singleton, or rather Woods, will stop at second. Four hits in 6 times at bat for Bob Bailey and 7 runs batted in. Tim Foley, 2 singles and a double. Also an intentional walk. He's been out only 1 time. Foley 3 for 4. Montreal 19 runs on 21 base hits. And a ground ball wrapped to shortstop. Martinez bobbles the ball. Now recovers and throws in time. He gets the force play at second base. 1 run. There were 3 hits, no errors, and 2 left on. Now, at the end of 8, it is Montreal 19 and New York 7. But Doug McGraw worked an inning and 2/3, and Phil Hennigan worked 2 innings. So they combined to pitch 3 1/3 innings. In the 3 1/3, they gave up 13 runs and 13 hits. We're in the 9th, and Jim Gosker is up against Mike Marshall, and he takes ball 1. Gosker, hitting for the 2nd time, reached on a walk. Montreal attack led tonight by Bob Bailey, 7 RBIs, Ken Singleton, 5 RBIs. And how about that? Down the right field line, there are fans standing and yelling, "Let's go Mets." And Gosker fouls the ball back into the crowd. There are quite a few Mets fans here, people vacationing from the New York area. Of course, tomorrow is July 4th. A lot of people are out on long weekends or vacation time. The 1-1 pitch. I'll tell you one thing. They celebrated July the 4th a day early in Montreal. 19 runs, 21 hits. That's enough fireworks to last a week. And the pitch on the way. Ralph, I hate to think, we'll have to get Art Friedman to figure it up for us, what this is going to do to Hennigan's ERA and McGraw's ERA, neither of which was down low to begin with.
It's going to do a lot to Doug McGraw's, that's for sure, and also Hennigan's. It's also going to keep Artie Freeman up all night.
He's so bad he couldn't sleep anyhow. Now a swing and a miss by Gosker, strike 3. The worst drubbing the Mets had taken was back in 1967 when the Cubs beat them 18-10. But tonight, Montreal has gone the Cubbies 1 run better. 19-7.
Wayne Garrett.
Now Wayne Garrett is up. I'm chuckling not because of the score of the game, but because of the score of the game. And 3 or 4 young Mets fans down the right field line yelling, "Let's go Mets." And a ground ball hit the shortstop, Timothy John Foley. Throws across the diamond, 2 down. I got to be honest, when you get caught in a game like this, you can't wait for it to be over. 19-7, 2 outs and nobody on. Felix Millan coming up. Felix 3 for 4.
Millan.
Off the outside corner, 1 ball and no strikes to Felix Millan. So tomorrow night, Tom Seaver will try and put things back together. When you take a beating like this, you need a strong pitching performance the next day. Outside and low, 2 balls and no strikes. One thing about a game like this, Ralph, if it's any consolation, and I'm sure it's not, you can't second guess yourself too much. You simply took a bad beating. Outside and low, ball 3, 3-0.
Somewhere along the line, you'll hear the statement made by someone that I'd rather lose a game like this than a 1-0 ball game. Or a 1-run ball game.
It just takes longer. Mike Marshall's pitch on the way, taken by Felix Millan, 3-1. St. Louis Cardinals are on their way to a doubleheader victory over Pittsburgh. They lead 7-1 after 8 innings in the nightcap. Bounced to third and off the glove of Bailey and on into left field. I think he must have lost that ball in the lights.
Now, wait a minute, Bob. Even though they scored 19 runs and had 21 base hits, how can you lose a ground ball in the lights?
He backed away. He didn't see it.
I'm kidding you. He did lose that ball in the lights. That reminds me of Billy Lowe's pitching for the Dodgers in the World Series against the Yankees. You lost the ground ball in the lights.
For Felix Millan, which will almost be lost in this kind of a ball game, it was his 4th hit of the game.
I guess actually Billy Lowe's lost his ground ball in the sun.
Jim Beecham now is the pinch hitter. 2 down and 1 on, 9th inning. (19-7). Montreal way out in front. The pitch to Jim Beecham, low, ball 1. Beecham is hitting for Phil Hennigan. In just 3 innings, Montreal scored 13 runs off McGraw and Hennigan. Maybe this will be what they call bottoming out. Things will get better afterwards. 1 ball, 1 strike on Jim Beecham. Ernie Mcandrew is the pitcher of record on the positive side. Swing and a miss on a breaking ball. With Jim Mcandrew, the pitcher of record on the negative side. Mac gave up 6 runs. McGraw 7, that's 13, and Hennigan 6 is 19. The only pitcher not scratched tonight was Harry Parker. He faced only one batter. Outside and low, the count 2-2 on Jim Beecham, the pinch hitter. For New York, Mian had 4 hits, and Milner crashed a 3-run homer. That was early in the game before Montreal tore the ball game up. Now the 2-2 pitch. Outside, ball 3, 3-2. I'll tell you, the fellow will be a little weary tonight, Ralph, is that plate umpire, Harry Wendelstedt.
Tom Seaver keeping the pitching chart of this ball game.
He'll have writer's cramp. Count 3-2 on Jim Beecham. Now the pitch on the way. The runner goes, and the ball hit foul. Milner knocked 3 runs in. Garrett and Mian each drove in 1. Felix with 4 hits in the game tonight. That'll help his batting average considerably. Last year, when the season was over, the Mets did not have a single player with as many as 100 base hits. Felix Mian now is up to 82 and a half a year. High inside, ball 4. Beecham has drawn a walk. And yet the team last year that didn't have a single batter get as many as 100 hits. To show you what pitching can do for you, finished the season 10 games over 500. But McGraw was having a great year. Rusty Staub, 1 hit and 4 times up. Mike Marshall has not been sharp here tonight, but of course he hasn't really had to be. Runners at first and second, 2 men away. And a fast slider on the inside corner, strike 1. Montreal scored 16 runs in the last 4 innings of this game. Here's the pitch on the way. Breaking ball on the inside corner, strike 2. And what a night for Bob Bailey and Ken Singleton. Marshall getting his sign from Bacabelli. He has Rusty 2 strikes. He needs 1 out to nail it down, and the pitch, the runner goes to third, the throw to third, and the ball is lost. Now Mian is coming on down the line, and Felix comes in to score. What did I see right then, Ralph? Score is 19-7, and you steal third?
Well, Felix, I guess, was taking advantage of the fact they didn't expect him to go, and they certainly didn't.
Throw to third, had the throw been handled, it would have been a very close play. He might have been out.
Bailey actually playing so far from third base with Staub up. He must be halfway to second that Mian figured he could beat him to the bag, which he did.
With a charge, an error on the throw?
I'll have to check that out. A stolen base and an error, I'm sure.
So it's 19-8. Beecham is on second. The pitch to Rusty, and a curve is over, strike 3. And the ball game is over. So in the 9th inning, 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error, 1 left. The final score, Montreal 19 and New York 8. We'll have the recap in just a moment. Well, the final score, Montreal 19 and New York 8. And to try and add it all up for you, here's Ralph Kiner.
Okay, well, the Mets at one point had the early lead. They were leading 1-0 after the first inning on a double play ball hit by Rusty Staub. Wayne Garrett scored from third. Mets also had a lead as they scored 3 runs in the second inning. They were leading by a score of 3-1, and then later on in a lead of 5-3. But then from the 5th inning through the 8th inning, 29 men came up for the Montreal Expos in 3 innings and 15 runs scored, and the ball game bombed out as the Expos won it by a score of 19-8. The big hitters for the Expos, Bob Bailey, 4 for 6 with a grand slam home run. He also drove in 7 runs. He now has hit 2 home runs in this ball game is 14th and 15th, and the 7 RBIs in one game tied an all-time Expo record. Ken Singleton was 3 for 6. He also hit a home run his 11th, and he drove in 5 runs in the ball game. We'll be back with more in just a moment. The winning pitcher in the ball game was Ernie McAnally, the starting pitcher. His record now 6-3. He went 6 innings, was charged with 5 runs, but he was taken out for a pinch hitter, and of course the Expos came on to win the ball game for him. Losing pitcher was Jim Mcandrew. His record stands at 3-7. Page Brown at 12,279, and the Mets having the most runs ever scored against them by the Expos. It also was the high for the Expos of runs scored in their career, and also the most base hits they've ever had in one ball game, a total of 21. We'll be back with more in just one.